Oh, is it working?
See, it's always weird because it starts, like we hit start and then the front of it's clipped off a little bit.
Is it? Yeah. YouTube screws us in new ways every time we do a live stream. Oh, is it working? Oh, it's an
Well,
ad.
it's giving us an ad, so it's probably working.
Oh,
No,
they're gonna hear it twice.
no, we have to mute
An ad that they won't share with us.
it.
Oh, there we are.
We're
That's us.
live. All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. We'll trim off the front. We'll try to remember to trim off the front. So everybody should be like on their way in at this point.
Yeah, we'll probably chit chat for a few minutes while people make their way in.
Yeah, so this episode is brought to you by us and Devember and Linode and some rando that sent us a bunch of silver coins.
You can read the note.
Yeah, it says, it can double as an ad too. This is pretty genius, really. Thank you for the assist. You did a fantastic job on this KVM. Not only is it great for working with a sandbox, it's also giving me a little extra slack with the standing desk. Thank you. Here's an early Christmas present. You can quickly turn these into fungible tokens, or these fungible tokens into cash, but I'm not going to, blah, blah, blah. You know, love Eric. Okay, well, so this is pretty cool. This is the level 1 KVM is not perfect, but it's so good that apparently it warrants that as a tip. And it's not a coincidence that we've restocked the level 1 KVM on the store right now. So if you want to pause this and go buy it before they sell out, which will probably be gone, they'll probably
Pretty
all be
quick.
gone by the end of the day, if not sooner.
Also, we have new hoodies in stock on the store as well. So if you're looking for stuff for Christmas,
There's a huge box over there, Krista. You could hold up some stuff.
wait, are the hoodies?
The hoodies
new,
aren't there.
The new hoodies, they literally just came in the store.
Yeah.
I could get the T-shirt looking. At it.
The pandemic has made things weird. Oh no, I said the word!
Oh, this is probably demonetized anyway.
There's no fixing it this week.
No. Sponsored by Eric. Thanks, Eric.
Where's the chat? You got no chat?
Oh, it's at the top. I must have scrolled accidentally. My bad.
T-shirts. We got mouse pads.
Malto Nito says, "Don't shut up, but take my money." And thank you. I'm gonna make a list of these. We're gonna read these at the end of the thing. Can I get a whoop whoop from Ryan?
No.
No, we were actually testing the audio right before we started, and we were trying to get Ryan to do a whoop so we could see if he'd go into the yellow. And
Ryan,
he
I
wouldn't
think
do it.
I think that's a paid service. I think $5 would get it done.
No, it's going to be 25 silver gold coins. Silver gold coins. Silver eagle coins. All right, so the way we're going to do it this time is instead of bothering with the usual separations, like why bother with the usual separations, we'll do one category at a time, and then we'll do comments
Yeah, that works.
more often.
Now, there is a link in the description, and you in the chat should tell the latecomers this as well. There's a link in the chat to the forum that has all of the links, but we've resorted the links in the categories to make a little more sense. So it'll jump around a little bit, but there you go. Nick War. Oh yeah, his Canadian $5. Can I get a whoop whoop from Ryan?
Canadian.
That's the same guy, right?
He has to break out
No,
the.
it's a different guy.
He has to break out the Canadian syrup reserves.
Cumulatively, we have to hit a certain amount before there's ever a whoop whoop. I don't know how to do these currency conversions on the fly. All right, shall we start?
Start with
Let's get
government.
started.
Starting with government as usual.
Be sure to check out Linode, by the way.
We'll do them straight in the order that we always do. Well, not we always do them, but they always come on the paper, which you guys don't see. And we'll start with Congress. We have a lot of government news. Oddly enough, a lot of UK and EU news this week. Maybe they
What a
felt.
UK?
I think maybe they felt sad because they didn't have a holiday, and they just made a lot of news.
Well, maybe ours. We didn't have a lot of news here in the U.S. because everyone was on holiday.
Could be a more accurate explanation, but not as fun.
Mm.
But we did have our Congress doing some things. Actually, they did this previously. And if you'll recall the Build Back Better infrastructure bill, it was a real pie in the sky. All the money in the world, we're going to pay for everything. And then once they started cutting things away, some things had to fall completely off the list. Is this really one?
Yes.
If we compared this to the things that stayed in, do you think they would be more valuable than this?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think they would.
Congress decimates 911's digital upgrade. So I don't know. The infrastructure bill, it wasn't really that big of a deal because everything was basically already earmarked. It was like which thing is going to go where. So This will probably get added back somewhere else in some other bill.
Well, it's still there. It just got cut really, really, really hard. It was supposed to be a lot of money, and now it's not very much money at all.
The guy they interviewed was like, "Well, I'm disappointed to say the least, but I could, even just reading it in text, I could feel his disappointment."
It was supposed to be $10 billion.
Whew.
So,
Yeah. 911 is kind of a mess everywhere. You'd be surprised. You know, the NSA knows where you are. 911, not so much.
plus, everybody on their mobile phone is using that system. Do we really need to upgrade that? Shouldn't we just be ignoring landlines at this point?
Oh, we should check something real quick. Click on OBS and then switch scenes real quick because I think it kills our audio.
Oh,
Hello? Testing?
Test?
No, it's still there.
Seems fine.
Okay.
What makes you think that?
Somebody said that in the chat. They're messing with me.
sometimes they get you that way.
Chat's so unreliable.
Let's just make sure.
My favorite is when like we're streaming on Twitch and someone's like, "Oh, I can't hear you," and then they're like, "Oh, wait, I had you muted." So you have like a moment of panic.
I just heard it.
I heard a blurb of audio. Yeah, I think we're good.
Well, the other thing Congress is constantly doing, every government in the world is doing this. They're going after big tech. And when you go after big tech, you bring them in and you make them talk to you because you know that inherently they almost have to lie. Then you can catch them in a lie.
And then think how good that looks at election time.
The head of Instagram agrees to testify to Congress as they probe the app's effects on young people. No, so this is a new guy, and I can't remember his name, and we're paywalled, so you're just going to have to use your imagination and or the link from the description.
Very smug picture.
Yes. This guy's never testified for Congress before, so this is either the existing executive team throwing him to the wolves, or they got tired of Mr. Zuckerberg's, "I don't know, Senator. I can't recall."
I would be happy to put together that information. You know what's crazy about this profile? The buttons are inverted.
Oh, is that messing you up?
Oh, it's driving me crazy.
Sorry. You can fix it while we're in
It's
an
not
intermission or
worth it.
whatever.
It's not worth it. I'll adapt. And quantum computing. The thing about quantum computing that you have to worry about is that all the stuff that's currently encrypted becomes immediately unencrypted with
Well,
quantum computing.
Unless you're using AES encryption. But everything that's RSA, yes, that's absolutely true.
That's not a point that matters in this story because it would still be very bad. And what if the Chinese get there first?
The U.S. blocks export of quantum computing tech to Chinese organizations. So if you're a company in the U.S. hoping to export your quantum computing prowess to other countries, forget it.
Hoping?
Hoping.
Hopium.
That's not a real word. Did they add that? Do you know what the word of the year was? We can't say it. Starts with V.
We can't say that.
2 out of 3 of us have it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So AT&T and Verizon, they were having a little bit of a spat with the government because the government was like, "Hey, our planes use some equipment that your 5G towers are poisoning. What are you going to do about it?" And the answer is, it seems dumb. I
Yeah.
mean, could this really matter that much? I think this is just like, please leave us alone. This is business. We're making money here.
AT&T and Verizon are going to temporarily turn down 5G power to address the FAA woes. So there is some concern that some of the artificial horizon instrumentation in airplanes is negatively impacted by some of the frequencies that 5G uses. 5G actually has midband and narrowband and wideband. And there's a lot of frequencies in play here, and this is only some of them, a very narrow sliver. So I really doubt anything serious will come out of this. Worst case scenario, carriers won't be allowed to use a couple of narrow pieces of spectrum, but that's okay, because you can probably work around that.
But imagine the conspiracy theory sites. They're probably having a field day right now.
You think they're folding this into?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, look, they're reducing it because they know."
They're reducing it around airports and major cities because the rich people still have to travel.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
That's the conspiracy.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. Well, Amazon does a lot of lobbying, and it's obvious, and everybody knows about it. Certainly the people in the government know about it, but they don't do anything about it until it gets pointed out by reporters. Then they have to do something about it.
U.S. lawmakers call for privacy legislation after Reuters report on Amazon lobbying. So, This seems like the opposite of, like, it sounds like the U.S. lawmakers want privacy against lobbying, but actually they're calling for more lobbying transparency? Or is it the opposite?
No, I think
Is it opposite day?
the report showed how much Amazon was affecting things.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, we better do something about this while they're hiding money.
Yeah. Also, is this a paywall alternative?
Yeah.
Okay.
WTVBAM.com. I don't know what news station this is, but they will straight up, word for word, print Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal. Like, they don't even change the headline.
Well, say I think the original article was on Reuters, and so it was like Reuters was giving itself a pat on the back, like, look at this report that caused everybody to scramble.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. A little bit of a victory lap there.
Yeah, they're just dunking on Amazon.
And here's a disgusting headline because I don't think they should have the ability to tell me these things. They just granted themselves this power somehow, and now they're going to tell me, well, I don't know. I think we were doing better before they were able to do anything about this.
U.S. regulators to clarify how banks can engage with Bitcoin in 2022.
You think they'll leave a lot of YouTube comments?
Alternative headline is U.S. regulators clarifying how they plan to completely lock down Bitcoin, except for a couple of ways that regular institutions can screw you with it.
It's not looking good. Over in the UK, starting our massive UK block, they have an interesting new ban, and this is probably good in theory. However, I think the people this will affect, it will only make things harder for them to use.
Yes.
Because think about how often, like, think about the entire basement, right? And all those devices down there. And if each one had a unique password that you had to somehow memorize
That would be terrible.
or write it on it, which is worse, right?
This is already a thing in California.
Yeah, again, terrible ideas.
Huge fines and a ban on default passwords in a new UK law. What a lot of U.S. device manufacturers have done in complying with this for California is they'll turn like the MAC address into the password or a formula based on the password. So if you can get the MAC address, which you can usually read from JavaScript, then you can compute what the password is.
But most people don't know how to do that. And
Yeah, but the malware authors do.
right, so it's
Oh, we're just going in circles? Yeah.
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 And you cannot reset to a factory default to get back to the original password. Your password must be per device. So, good luck with that. Google, they're catching some flack from the UK. This is just another company or another country that is in line to extract its monies.
Google makes pledges on browser cookies to appease UK regulator. This is actually a follow-up to the story that we had last week where Google was basically just saying, all right, just tell us what you want us to do and we'll do it. Just, we've got a plan. Google kind of smugly in this article was hinting that their whole Flock and browser sandbox thing is going to take care of this so that they won't technically need cookies. So I think they're trying to outrun regulators using technological ways to sort of end run around what they're asking for. That's what they suggested, but we'll see if that actually develops.
So let's run out some bullet points here. Crazy high taxes, tough immigration, although they will waive that here. They are definitely like losing everything else, right? Like they're having all kinds of the supply chain problems are expanded over there because of what they've just recently done.
Yeah.
And no one else lives there. ARM is gone. And
it's
then
trying
what?
desperately to get out of the bucket.
And then what?
Yeah.
So obviously not a big attraction to these folks.
UK visa scheme for prize-winning scientists receives no applications, according to New Scientist.
The person they interviewed in this, she went on quite the rant about how terrible this program was too.
10 out
of 10, read it.
A lot of countries have that. The U.S. has that. I was actually reading a story this weekend that's related to this. It's not the same thing, but there's a group of scientists in Canada that figured out how to do on silicon lasers. So like, silicon photonics, kind of like the holy grail. They figured out how to do it. The scientists that did it applied for a visa here, and we gave her the runaround, and so she's like, I'll just go to Canada. Oops. Probably going to get the Nobel Prize.
That's what H1A is. H1, you always hear about H1B. H1A is like alien of exceptional
Yeah.
talent or something like that. And they're just like, oh, yes, yes, yes.
Come to the front of the line.
Come right in.
She didn't make it, but she's probably going to get a Nobel Prize.
Well, it was
Meanwhile,
interesting. I think that the UK thing was also for people who were like in the humanities, and they didn't get any applications for that either. And it was like, oh, art scene's not doing good either, apparently.
is it really that valuable to import those people?
If they're going for the cultural victory,
I would say there come the downvotes, but you can't see those anymore.
oh, they're gone. The dislikes are gone.
The UK is not getting a cultural victory.
No, they just steal cultures from other places. Does that count? Can you do that, Civ?
Well, the Swedes have stepped up and they are talking some trash. What's the greatest nationality?
I don't know.
Is it Swedish?
She's from that area,
Norway, maybe.
right? Anyway, I don't know if she's behind this, but I'm sure she loves it.
Europe must ban Bitcoin mining to hit the 1.5C Paris climate goal, say Swedish regulators. So this is Euronews.next. You know, Bitcoin's the easy punching bag. I mean,
That's kind of the vibe I got as well. It's like we could do 1,000 other things.
you know what else would stop it? If we trained cows to pee in a urinal.
Stop single-use
That would not
plastics.
stop
There's
it.
lots of things we could be doing.
Neither of those things would stop it. Nor will this. Oh, Microsoft OneDrive. Boy, do I hate it. I'm excited when they take it out of Windows 10. When's that coming? It's pretty soon, right?
Yeah, you have to. No, it's Windows 7.
Oh, that's too bad. Everybody hates it, and why would you ever want it? And the EU is maybe doing us a little favor here.
EU companies issue formal complaint against Microsoft OneDrive and Windows integration. Yeah, Microsoft is getting real aggressive with integrations, and we'll learn more about the commerce integration that's coming. But I was really happy to see that Nextcloud, Nextcloud that we've done videos on, successor to OwnCloud, in my opinion, they have filed a complaint, and they said, it's really good. We should actually do a video on this that's completely separate. OneDrive and Nextcloud have a comparable set of features. If you want to have the same experience with Nextcloud as with OneDrive, you literally can't. The operating system locks you out of doing that. Even though there are programmers that are willing to do whatever it takes to integrate it into Windows so that it works the same transparently to the end user, Windows will not let you do that. That's the crux of their complaint. And I think it's a good one.
Certainly one that's been used in the past successfully.
Yeah, with the whole browser thing.
Or similar to it.
Yeah, that antitrust thing. Yeah.
Well, the Italians have lined up, and they are also saying big tech must give us money.
Italian competition watchdog finds Apple and Amazon $225 million. So they were looking at specifically at headphones and Beats headphones. And they said, these are crap. Why are they selling? And it turns out that it was probably anti-competitive.
You think Dr. Dre gets hit by this?
No, I don't think it's even on his radar.
I think they sold out, or he sold out
Yeah.
a while back. And I don't mean sold out. He's still an OG. I mean, he sold his... Oh, you don't think so? Ooh.
I actually don't have strong opinions, but
I think he wrote a song about that, Kristen. Maybe you need to listen to it. He specifically covers all of those points. Some people forget that. Instant messaging platforms, there's too many of them, and we need to consolidate them into one awful, horrible experience. Probably put Microsoft in charge of it, and then we can all just hate life completely.
The Register reports, chat among yourselves. New EU law may force the big IM platforms to open up. So this is kind of like the OneDrive thing. It's like, hey, if you want to provide a OneDrive type service or you want to provide an instant messaging type service, let people use different applications to access that. The crazy thing is, we had this 10 years ago. Remember AOL Instant Messenger and all the third-party plugins or third-party applications that could read it, and ICQ, and then there were programs
Pigeon?
Pigeon. And you remember like Trillion, where
you
could use a bunch of different IM platforms from one program and communicate with everybody.
Pigeon did that too.
Yeah, we've actually regressed. It's like that wasn't required by law, and AOL came in and said, no, we must control the client.
Because they all saw that, and they were like, wait a minute. They're using our API, but they're not serving our ads. This can't stand.
Yes, exactly. So hopefully by law, this won't end badly. It's probably going to end badly. But if by some miracle it doesn't end badly, this will actually be good for consumers.
I was going to say, could it be worse than what it is? Isn't the worst case scenario, it's just what it is now?
Also, it doesn't apply. It only applies if there is or is not a phone number associated, right? So, like, Signal is in a different classification as something that's
Yes.
married to your phone number. Or is that the opposite? Anyway, there's only a certain group. So you could be excluded from this by joining the other group. Although I don't think Facebook could ever do that, right?
Facebook probably couldn't do that. Signal might be okay, but not Facebook Messenger.
Well, the Germans, they have tried this once before. Was it Munich?
Mhm.
I think that did this originally. And it seemed to go really well. And then Microsoft moved their headquarters to Munich. And then it stopped. Will they move a headquarter into this town?
German state planning to switch 25,000 PCs to LibreOffice. This is the German state of Schleswig-Holstein.
That is, I think, the word. It's very long and strange.
Holstein is easy. But
Some of the other words.
Schleswig?
Yeah.
Schleswig?
Schleswig-Holstein.
We can get instant feedback from our German
Oh,
viewers.
yeah.
Are any of them watching?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Wyoming would be disappointed.
Nervous laughter.
So they're still going to do a hybrid approach, but this is a lot like the Munich thing. And they pointed out, it's like, we're going to save all this money. It's going to be great. We're going to be in control of it. Probably a good idea. Maybe a slight bit of, bias, since that was from the LibreOffice website, but that is a paywall alternative.
One of the things that I always look for in articles like this is, if they're like, oh, we're going to save a bunch of money because it's free, and it's not really, like, they should say we're probably not going to save any money for the first couple of years, but the money that we would have spent on licensing, we can put into developing LibreOffice and adding stuff to LibreOffice to make it do what we need it to do that it doesn't currently do.
But Office already does that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't it pretty much like a carbon copy?
They already had, they said in the article that they needed to add a few things to LibreOffice, but basically it was good to go. So that was encouraging.
Teams integration.
That's what everyone asked for.
Well, China has really been, I think the scariest thing with China, like we all know the saber rattling, and that goes on all the time. But the scariest thing to me is this kind of stuff that they're doing internally, because this is a big change.
Yeah.
They're making big changes. What are they leading up to? Could it be an invasion? We don't know.
China suspends Tencent from updating existing apps or launching new apps. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has told app stores and platforms to implement the order against Tencent applications. So this would be like, I don't know, who's in charge at the Pentagon? This would be like the Pentagon descending on Microsoft and saying, all right, the Pentagon now runs Azure and Microsoft. And doing it in a kind of open and public way. A little disturbing.
And it all seems to be wrapped up in data protection, although the Chinese data protection, well, it's not unique, but it's unique in the way that they admit it, because the Chinese will admit, we are protecting you from the corporations, but we are also taking every step to steal your data ourselves, which is not what the other countries say they're doing, although they are probably doing.
Yeah, they're actually competing with tech.
It is the darkest timeline. Help. All right. China's new privacy law leaves the U.S. behind. So this is like what you were saying, basically. Like this is the whole thing. Like this is the whole MO for taking over and requiring your presence in the country and blah, blah, blah.
I really like this.
I feel like this is a cool concept, but it needed a little more refinement.
What would you do?
I don't understand why the flag is pixelated, but the mirror is just a stock image.
Probably because
They're not integrated well.
they like zoomed in really hard on
a flag, or was it like supposed to be like, oh, this is a digital thing? Like I don't know. I don't fully get it.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be stronger. It's a good concept.
I don't know. Wow.
It's a good first draft.
That's a harsh judgment. I think it's really good. Ashley Gold. I hope you don't take that too personally.
I think that's the writer. Is that the?
You think she didn't do the image?
Usually it'll say what's the caption on the image.
Brendan Lynch / Axios. Oh, so he is on the Axios staff.
Yeah, he
Nice.
probably threw that together,
you've
know,
really
because they
called
needed
him
an
out.
article title
That's a good
or
job.
image.
I mean, so it is sort of crazy that's like, in order to make sure that you're complying with privacy and treating everybody's privacy correctly, we're going to make copies of all your hard drives.
And every piece of communication and your transactions.
Install some new routers for you to keep everything secure and also that we can monitor. And it's like,
And about 10
Oh.
million pictures of your face with and without masks.
that doesn't seem scary at all.
We did confirm that like the masks no longer protect you against facial recognition. Like, it's immediately adapted, right?
Wow, I thought you were going somewhere else there, and I was like, no,
Our monetization.
we'll get banned from you. No, that'd be way worse than monetization.
They would cut the stream off live. You know, Barnacules was talking about that, and they just cut off his stream like mid, like
Wow.
just.
We might just catch a bullet. You know, a bullet might just go through all three of our heads.
We have to start sitting at a circular table to prevent that.
That'd be tough on Wendell because in order to make sure they got your brain pan, they would have to go through his neck. So he'd be back there like gurgling out while you and I would be dead.
Oh yeah, I got to slump more.
Well, nuclear power. We found out that Bill Gates is championing a new nuclear power plant in Wyoming.
It's a new design.
And the regulatory agencies are they've really got their thumb on nuclear, which is kind of like, well, maybe they should, you know, because it can go really, really bad. But you know where there aren't any nuclear regulators at all?
In space and in China. China's space program will go nuclear to power future missions to the moon and Mars. Prototype designs for a nuclear reactor for the space program have been completed, and some components have been built, according to researchers. So they're going to hoist these things into orbit. What could possibly go wrong?
And on the moon.
You know, when we did the Curiosity, is that right? Curiosity? Curiosity is a nuclear reactor on Mars, but we over-engineered the crap out of the launch vehicle for that. In case there was some problem in Earth's atmosphere, it would not scatter radioactive material everywhere. Because that's basically impossible to clean up.
And there is a Chinese drone on the dark side of the moon, which has a nuclear reactor in it. It's very small.
If something goes wrong, it's very bad on launch.
We're not
More
gonna
than just
worry.
regular badness.
Well, not just that.
Advanced badness.
What if something goes wrong on the moon?
Well, I mean, you know,
I mean, it's not great. And with that could affect your
Although-
studies.
Is the lack of an atmosphere going to clean that up?
yeah, you've already got a lot of radiation from the sun, so it's not like it's going to make it any worse.
It might mess with your readings,
Yeah, but
though.
you're going to put a moon colony right there.
Well, they're going to be underground. As long as you don't contaminate the underground on the moon. That's really the only viable place for a moon colony
Nah,
until we get better materials.
I think it's got to be in orbit, right? You got to build your own.
In the moon? Nah, underground. Underground moon colonies coming first.
I think there's going to be problems with underground moon colonies we're not predicting.
If my memory serves in Empyrean, it was always better just to have the giant space station, so you could travel the universe. You didn't want to build land bases.
Yeah, but it was a lot easier to get materials in Empyrean.
Yeah.
You just had to click on them versus the moon, where you have to launch them into space.
That's true.
Back to China. China, they banned Bitcoin, but I guess they didn't ban it enough. And now they're like, no, we're really getting serious about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And you watch your ass. We are coming.
China explores digital asset exchange as crypto crackdown continues. You might have noticed the dip on Friday. Thanks, China.
I don't think that was China. I think that was South Africa.
Say anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what it was. It didn't come from China. Well, I mean, maybe originally. Oh,
We're just really skirting the line today.
Chat, if you can keep up, it's really funny, I promise.
Japan is also getting in line for a digital currency.
Japan to launch a bank deposit-backed digital currency in 2022. So this is, I couldn't really see a lot of difference here than some of the proposals that we've had in the U.S. to have a centrally managed system.
Well, they do require real money in a bank to back this. It's like the debit card.
But it doesn't have to be yours. I mean, your bank could issue you micro loans and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, but still there's something, right? I don't know. It's not decentralized and it's not safe from the government, so hopefully it'll fail. But I think people will adopt it. Because it'll get to a point where you can't even get on a public transport, and they have to have that in Japan. You can't really live without it.
That's the future I fear, where you can't engage in society without being part of the crypto stuff.
I thought this story was coming next a couple of stories ago.
Or something else, Krista.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might already be there. Yeah, WTVBAM.com. What a great paywall alternative website. I hope these guys stay in business. I hope Jay Coffee is always broadcasting from 1 to 3 p.m. So, And this is a terrible picture of Putin. It looks like he's taking a dump in that chair.
Yeah, he
Don't
looks
you think
really
so?
uncomfortable.
Maybe he is as
It's
a
just
show of power.
Oh, if Biden can do it, I can do it.
He's visiting Merkel, and he's like, "This is what I think of your policy."
That beautiful chair.
Yeah.
He just leaves he like scoots off of it to leave a
Oh.
skid. But yeah, Moscow is doing a similar thing as to China, where they say, hey, we know who you work for. We know where your base of operations is. If you're going to be here, your base of operations also has to be here, and you pretty much have to give us the keys.
Moscow says 13 foreign tech firms must be represented on Russian soil by 2022. That's the picture we were talking about.
You can tell us in the comments if you agree with our assessment. I do think it's not great.
It's the usual suspects that you would think it would be. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Telegram,
Apple.
all the rest.
Oh.
I keep seeing these articles that are like, oh, by 2022, and I'm like, oh, that's forever away, but it's really just like a month away.
Yeah, it's already there.
They actually straight up said that they will arrest executives of the companies that are there for this, that, or the other. And I really thought it would be Russia or China that would be forced to do that, but it's actually India. I'll get a story about that later.
Do you think if you get appointed, if you work for Google and they're like, all right, we're going to put you in charge of the Russian division, are you like, oh no, are you just sacrificing me?
Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Is that what I am now?
I'm expendable?
And here's a story that might rhyme a little bit because literally every country is stepping up to, number one, ban Bitcoin, and number two, copy it poorly.
India has no plans to recognize Bitcoin as a currency. RBI working on a CBDC rollout, according to reports. That is a centralized digital currency. Centralized bank digital currency. Is that what that stands for?
No, I think it's cannabinoid. I can't think of the C.
CBDC. That's like.
I'm sure there's. I bet CBDC.com you can buy some CBD oil, right?
CBDC
Almost
reminds me of Arrivederci.
CBDC. So yeah, they have not quite banned it yet, but a lot of people are saying, yeah, we figure that's coming, and they're saying there will be no crypto except for our crypto. And
we see the value in this, but we must reinvent it with inferiority
In
as
ways
our own.
they can control it.
which is a big problem because a lot of those mining operations just moved north, and
Yeah.
they're going to have to move again.
This is the one.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. Now, this is kind of like Article 230 for online stores. But, I mean, do you think anybody in the Indian government really thinks these guys are at fault here?
So this story was so poorly executed that I had to go read more stories, and I have some more info that's not in the story, but I don't know which to believe.
Well, that's the world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah. Read the headline.
India police charge Amazon executives in marijuana smuggling case. And so here are the facts that are not in dispute. There is a third-party seller on Amazon in India that was selling marijuana. That's not okay in India.
Or anywhere
or
that Amazon serves. Well, no, that's not
Colorado,
true.
I guess.
But
maybe.
you can't buy it through the mail.
Yeah. And so the situation here is that India's just went straight to Amazon, and they're like, all right, your Amazon executives are responsible. And they're like, this is a third-party seller. We had no idea. The authorities allege that some of the Amazon executives knew about this and were in on it because it was like £1,000 or something. It was like $1 million US of goods. Of course, the valuation, I don't know. And so, but I read another article that suggested that they didn't really know. Like, there were just, hapless English-speaking Amazon executives that were like, I don't know, the third-party marketplace is taken off, and if somebody reports a product, we'll shut it down. But if somebody doesn't report a product, we won't shut it down.
Wasn't there a story about some weird products going out here?
Yeah, like the $10,000 like cupboards, and it's like, this is obviously some kind of money laundering.
That was Wayfair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but no, Amazon had one like this. It wasn't that kind of product, but it was kind of on the edge.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe
I
it was something
forgot
like
about the
that.
Wayfair cabinet. It's like a lifetime ago.
But I like, India's approach here was just, we're going to arrest the executives, and it's up to you to convince us that they weren't involved, which is kind of extreme, but that's what China and Russia are saying, especially the previous story with Russia saying, oh, we need the companies to operate here. They want them to operate there so they can do that.
And they want those people to be registered
Yeah.
as the person you go to arrest. That's a tough life. The sword of Damocles is always over your head, but you probably have a pretty good lifestyle. Well, this story is interesting because on one hand, we know that Australia and their government are horrifically dystopian. They do things that if you write them down on paper and you read them back, you're like, what? Really? Really? Are they going to do that? But at the same time, on the other end of this, it's this new wave of politics where you always go after the most damaging accusation. It's either racism, sexism, or in this case, sexual assault. You bring one of those three bells and people can't respond. So is it darker to let the government be in this dystopian control or let the people throw around these accusations and always win? I don't know. It's bad either way you go.
Australia defamation case signals a crackdown on ordinary citizens, critics say. Government minister sued and won over a brief Twitter post that called him a rape apologist. A journal says sees this as asymmetric warfare.
Is a rape accusation not raising the stakes a bit? I don't know if it's so asymmetrical. He does have more power because he's in the government, obviously, and we know he's evil and corrupt. That's not a question here.
You have to read this story, Australians, and let us know, because this does seem like an awfully big step down a very slippery slope.
He did not apologize for rape, the way I see it, but you're never going to come to terms with people arguing about these kinds of semantics.
Yeah.
Either way, watch what you tweet down under, because you can get in trouble for it. That's true of everywhere, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not limited to Australia.
And we know that Israel hosts most of the big spyware companies, at least the most popular ones.
Oh, boy.
It sure does seem to spawn a lot of them.
They're good at it.
Yeah, we got Celebrite, Pegasus. What's the other one?
They get a lot of money from our government because we're not very good at writing these kinds of tools.
From a lot of governments like Morocco and Turkey. And that is what is at stake here, because Israel has always said, oh no, we export these under international law. Everything we do is perfectly legal. And they're like, yeah, but look at the countries you're doing business with. And they say, please don't look at those. We're changing the list.
Israel restricts cyber weapons export list by 2/3 from 102 to just 37 countries. The Israeli government has restricted this.
We don't see the list they took off. We only see the list that is still okay.
This article says, though, you can also apply for a special clearance where even if you're not from one of these countries, you can still get the tools. So it's like, well, does that really do anything? Is this just a PR stunt?
What happens is Morocco is going to hire somebody in Latvia to spy on it.
And pay an extra fee.
Yeah.
And more pockets get lined, but the journalists still get spyware on their phones ultimately.
That sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, unless you're a journalist.
Yeah, unless you're anybody who cares about that.
And then you might end up in a shallow grave with no hands and no feet and no head.
That's a thing that actually happened.
Because those are identifiable. That's the end of the government section. Please commence with your
comments. Oh yeah, we got some donations, I think. While
yes.
we were going
my
through.
Gosh, I've got so many to read. There might be. I'm pretty sure we got the whoop whoop clearance, but we'll see. Oh no, that's not the right notepad file. I've made a mistake. I've made a huge mistake. A boron? I don't know. Even in a circle, they could get 2 out of 3. I don't know what that means.
The bullet.
Raphael Hassel. It's like I missed some of the features of Autodesk Maya. Oh Lord, what have I done?
Did you paste them multiple times?
What kind of comment is that?
I think sometimes people are commenting in real time, so we forget the context of what was happening.
Raphael Hassel. I missed some of the features about Autodesk Maya Inventor. Okay, Milp is it true that Wyoming was the place that they invented the word Y?
I don't think that's true.
Two Stacked CRT Tube says Orion project finally. Carl Rosner says nuclear power is best power. Stefan Oshnike gave us $25. Didn't say anything.
Oh, what was that?
OSOJN something. Osojniki. Cheers from Croatia. This is taking my first chance to donate ever after years of watching you guys. Oh, thank
thanks.
you. Jack Hillebrandt gave us a
dancing raccoon. Is that what that is?
Something.
Red panda? Oh, it's a dog. I think it's a Shiba.
Username taken OMFG. Wendell Bro, will you rate my music dog off stream? Obviously, thank you all for the part
Wow,
about.
he does not follow.
I was gonna say, of all 3 people at this desk, Wendell's probably the last person you want doing anything musical.
Are there parody lyrics in that song?
I have no sense of rhythm. Like sometimes my brain will just stutter, and I'm not really good with the whole passage of time thing.
You put all your points into tech.
I mean, you can hear it when I talk sometimes too. I had to learn to talk properly because otherwise I would stutter a lot.
Get ahead of yourself, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you do that when you type too.
Yep.
Yep. I got to sort real quick. You got any more donations?
There's a big list here.
Yeah, there was in lieu of monetization, here have $20. BC says say my name. Pup Shepherd number 4 says wag wags arf arf. Seikoi Pod says my pen is bigger than yours. That seems like a Jeopardy joke.
Like personal identification number?
The pen is mightier. PEN.
Oh.
Some Appalachian English. Pen versus pen.
No, it's pen is. Get
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Pen.
The brain is mightier. Oh, Alex Trebek's gone. Oh, I'm sad.
He lives on your heart. It lives on in our hearts.
First time catching it live. Happy to be here. Thanks, Irving. Thanks, Adrian Warner. BC, I said your name. Yes. Let's see. Leaf Kubuki. Tim Albers. Oh no, what did I miss? Fine Candor says I don't use a cell phone. I hate them.
That's impressive. To not have any cell phone at all.
Aboron says thanks for the stream. Oh, I got you earlier too, I think. Johan says in the morning. Well, see, we're only like 1/5 of the way through the stream. Actually, we're going to be here for many hours. Persifier says don't forget to ponder your orb today. Halayan Overlord says drunk stream when? Probably for the new year, sometime around or after January 1.
Christmas is on Saturday. Christmas Eve is on a Friday. Maybe we do a live stream.
Like Sunday or Monday.
Yeah. And then do the drunk news for the new year.
Are we ready for the next part, which is what?
Business.
Business.
Kind of a short business this week.
So the sections coming up, in case you're just getting here or you're in the loop, is business and then probably
Social,
and
then security, then robot,
and then nonsense. And Linode is we got a Devember going on with Linode sponsor. You should check that out.
New one-clicks on the node. A bunch new one-clicks on the node.
Vanessa Stoller says thanks for your work. Well, thank you.
Is that a real girl?
Slapper Jam says
there are dozens of us.
Good morning from Australia. It's 5 a.m. here. Thanks for the show. Well, you should roll back a little bit and ask if the horrible things we said about Australia are true, and if so, elaborate and explain it to us. I've never experienced Australia.
Are you on the side of the accused rape leader or the rape accuser?
Is he a terrible leader or?
I'm sure he is. I mean, come on, it's Australia, right?
I was just going to say a leader in general. Usually people who get to that level.
Yeah, you could definitely say that about the U.S. too.
All right, on with business section, and thank you all. And if you do give us money, I'll read it at the end. So I'm going to clear my document because I made a terrible mistake this other time. Now we're good.
So we've been talking a lot about the coming darkness that is our new NFT future.
I hate it.
We've seen some tentative steps, but I think this is the first real strike into our dark new NFT world. And it shows how FOMO and exclusivity will drive everything we do from now on. And it's terrifying.
AMC Stubs and Investor Connect members to receive exclusive NFT with advanced opening day tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home. This is like peak dark timeline.
So you must pre-order your ticket. It must be a special ticket that is already set up with this. You have to have some way for them to deliver it via email afterwards. So it means you have to register with something. You can't just buy it with cash. And the ticket must be scanned. If you buy the tickets just to try to get the NFTs and you don't go see the movie, you don't get the NFT.
Darkness.
That is like a brilliant marketing plan, but I also hate it.
The first to the party that gets them a lot, right? People are going to really be into this. They didn't describe exactly what the NFT was, I don't think, but it's Spider-Man related in some way.
But they haven't even figured it out yet. They're just like, all right,
Just any way to sell tickets.
people
so we
are
can
going to give
boost
us
the
money
box
for
office
nothing.
numbers.
Okay,
It's a really grainy JPEG of a spider web on the side of a barn somewhere.
Oh, it's just the old like 60 Spider-Man memes.
why don't they just go ahead and NFT the actual Spider-Man memes? Like, just get the
Yeah.
memes that are already popular and be like, well, we own
Well,
it.
the
but nobody
pointing one.
owns the memes.
They do actually, the copyright.
Well, who owns the cartoon? That was who
Yeah.
knows? That was probably like CBS or somebody.
Well, that's what you should be minting.
That probably belongs to like Cartoon Network or somebody who bought the back in the 2000s. They were like, yeah, we'll take the whole library.
Do we get a finder's fee for pointing that out?
Well, Gaben continues to soldier forward. He wants to change the gaming world and give us hope that someday we will be able to get away from these horrible operating systems. And you got to give him credit. He is making some amazing strides, because how many years have people been working on this?
Many.
To
many,
no avail at all. And he brings in his Gaben power.
NVIDIA's DLSS has come to Linux gaming, but not for the Steam Deck, obviously. So if you've got an NVIDIA graphics card and you're using the proprietary NVIDIA driver, you can actually use DLSS on games that are using Proton. Proton, of course, is the wrapper that lets you run the Windows API on Linux so that you can play games under Linux without necessarily resorting to a full-fledged virtual machine.
They also pointed out they have moved more games into Steam Deck compatibility and this kind of compatibility. The reason you can't use it on the Steam Deck is because it's AMD. It's not because they left it out of the Steam Deck. And Microsoft, for a couple of weeks now, we've been talking about the new features of Windows 11, and one is just more despicable than the next. It only gets worse, and the more people scream about it, it seems to only galvanize Microsoft's approach.
Yeah.
They are fully back to antitrust Microsoft.
We know that the users say that you don't want this, but our analytics dashboard doesn't lie. We have higher engagement. And what they don't realize is it's outrage engagement.
Yeah, it's always
Doesn't
good,
matter,
though,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Microsoft's Edge latest feature called a shameless cash grab by critics. So if you've got Edge, you can now do shopping right from within Edge.
And as we talked about last week, buy now, pay later. Right there. Just to tempt you every time you click the start button. Oh, you want a new pair of Air Jordans? Can't afford them? Just click this button. Just click it.
Cortana's like, I can get you Air Jordans right now. Would you like some Air Jordans? Like, no, Cortana, stop that.
But they're so valuable.
I don't even wear tennis shoes.
Yeah. So, Microsoft, they are really, I feel like one team at Microsoft is at odds with another one, and one of them is like, antitrust. You guys weren't here last time. There's one guy who's been there for 40 years, and he's like, you guys don't remember it. It was real.
He's twitching the whole time.
I don't understand how they think they can get away with it now, because comparatively, they got away with a lot less during the antitrust age.
I think they expect like Google and Apple to take the brunt of the fullisade that is coming from all the governments. And they're in the back, and they'll take some hits, but after those guys are dead, then they'll be like, we're changing.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, if you just look at the browser monopoly thing, the monopoly of the browser on mobile devices on Apple is so extreme that Apple forces Google to use the Safari rendering engine inside Chrome on iOS devices, which is bananas.
Well, this story is a bit of a cheerleading piece from CNET, but it points out that Team Blue may have finally accepted that the last 10 years were a bit of a stumble.
He literally said that. Intel's chip recovery plan could restore U.S. manufacturing prowess. The chipmakers' come-from-behind strategy is risky and will take years, even with government subsidies. No, read the quote. You got to scroll down a little bit because I want to get the quote exactly right. Pat Gelsinger has this quote, and this is exact.
You talking about the decade of bad decisions?
Yeah. With a decade of bad decisions, this doesn't get fixed overnight, said Pat Gelsinger in an interview here. But the bottom line is that the slope is starting to feel increasingly strong. Listen, Alder Lake is pretty nice. The big beefy cores in that are pretty cool. And split, big cores and little cores to manage power and thermal budgets. Okay, I get it. But yeah, he literally said 10 years of bad decisions.
And he said that he could sit back and keep doing what they're doing, and they would still make some money, but they wouldn't dominate like they have in the past. He wants to go back to the Intel that dominates.
Well, I mean, look at Global Foundries. Global Foundries is not even trying to be a leading edge fab, and they basically have a license to print money. It's the same with Google. It's the same with Intel. It's just Intel needs to reinvest their money if they want a license to print money from now until the end of time.
Will AMD get complacent?
No, I don't think so. AMD is still super hungry, and that's what's really exciting is because they're going to keep everybody honest.
The crazy thing about AMD is their market share is still crazy low.
Yeah.
Crazy low. I mean, it's growing quickly, but they have such a big, and that's good, I think. You got to keep them in that, keep them hungry.
Well, you need 10 years of 50% sales, and they've had like a year of 50% sales. So, it takes a while for that old technology to rotate out.
Maybe not as long if we're ripping it out of the infrastructure.
And it's not even 50% of all sales. It's just 50% of like the DIY channel.
Well, this is another rumor that expands on a rumor that we heard last week. And it all has to do with Apple's entry into the metaverse.
Apple's AR headset is coming next year with Mac level power. Well, it's because the M1. So the M1 is actually ridiculously powerful. And so if Apple does a power optimized version of the M1 that lives in the headset, they actually can do a lot of really amazing things. There's some people that are doing AR stuff on like the iPhone 13. And some of those videos are mind blowing because they're just like holding a phone up and it's like producing a 3D map of the world in AR, and they're layering it on top of just the regular like webcam video, and it is genuinely impressive that you can do that on a phone.
Also, again, this is a rumor, but that guy who is saying this rumor, he predicts that it will be fully standalone because he believes that having to marry it to an Apple computer would be too limiting, which is true.
Yeah. Well,
you think Apple will stick to that though?
If you did marry it to something, you would need some kind of a really high-speed wireless interface, and they would already be putting it in the iPhone. And since they're not, it seems like that's what they're going to do.
If you've been enjoying watching trials recently and you're sad that the big ones are all over, remember that Crazy Eyes Theranos is still on trial, and we are now getting to hear her testify, and oh boy, is she crazy.
Elizabeth Holmes admits doctoring lab reports with pharma company logos. Have you watched the videos? I read the transcript and I was like, oh, she's guilty. And then I watched some of the stuff and it was like, oh, this is.
Did she do the deep voice?
No, well, so there's no cameras or whatever allowed in the thing. It was just like a couple interviews from before, and it's like, oh, this is starting to make sense. Because one of the things was she's got some emails from like their CTO or whatever, and it's like, okay, our 3rd generation hardware didn't work at all, but our 4th generation hardware is going to work really well. And so she's looking at that and using that as an excuse, and she's saying, see, they told me that the hardware worked. I didn't independently verify it. So she's actually got a stronger defense than I expected.
Yeah, but if you're a CEO,
shouldn't you know?
It's kind of like your only job. She also made the argument that those machines were designed to be in, for example, a Walgreens.
Yes.
One of them in a Walgreens. But instead, they had them lined up in a warehouse, all running on the same power, all generating heat. She was like, it was too much for them. That is ridiculous.
It was that they were running continuously. Well, there was an email from somebody else that was like, hey, we can't do this because they're not designed to be run continuously.
Yeah, but the power in that building was fine. Those machines did not work. They did not function.
Are they trying to make her look more childlike in the photo on that article? Like she feels almost childlike. I wonder if that's a strategy by the defense.
I don't think is that her lawyer. It's not normal.
No, it's her mom.
And who's the other guy?
Her boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it makes her feel like she's holding her hands like they're taking her to court or like a playground.
She's got her shoulders rounded too, or it's like,
yeah. I mean, maybe it's just a candid photo, but it feels kind of staged.
I'm looking at all the stuff that she said, and then I'm looking at all the crazy stuff that Elon Musk said, and I'm really having a hard time seeing a difference.
She looks good in a mask, though, doesn't she? Look at that. Her mom doesn't look too bad either. So that guy,
no one said they weren't good looking.
Yeah, that guy's like, 30 years from now, this is still going to be okay.
Yeah, I saw this picture and I was like, it feels very like, this is for the press. Let's make her look small and,
she was talking about her 4th generation hardware. I'm thinking about Elon Musk talking about full self-driving. It's like,
oh my God, no. That'd be like 2 black holes colliding. We're not ready for that. We're not ready for what would come from that. Also, Musk doesn't need to have any more kids. Jesus.
Well, I'm sure he's already on the hunt for the next blonde wife.
Well, we talked about, the cryptocurrency fleeing from China. And it seems like a lot of it fled as minimal a distance as they had to. As soon as they found another country, it was like, this country will work. We will stop here. They did so. But that may have proved to have been a terrible move.
Cryptocurrency miners grapple with major energy crunch in Kazakhstan. An influx of Chinese miners, that's where they went, have contributed to the power shortages. So Kazakhstan has said, hey, we're cool to give you our extra power because, if the grid doesn't use the power, it's basically lost forever because we don't have the generation capacity for it. But turns out Kazakhstan needs that power for heat.
Especially in the winter. Here's a tweet from somebody who was like, oh, yeah, we came here, but country risk has played out. Country risk. Oops, sorry about that. And yeah, Kazakhstan is saying, listen, we don't hate crypto, we don't hate Bitcoin, but we're going to freeze to death unless you leave.
People get angry when they freeze to death, so we need you to stop.
It's too bad it costs too much to shunt that heat somewhere else because, you could use the heat to stay warm from the... That feels like something that happened in like the 17th century that led to the French Revolution.
What you're describing is hive cities from Warhammer. We all need to live on top of one another so we can share the crypto heat.
What was that game you were obsessed with for a while where they all like lived around the circle? And the closer you were to
Frostpunk.
The closer you were to the middle was better because you were closer to heat.
Frostpunk 2 is coming.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
That was a good game.
Yeah.
A little difficult in terms of I think you could only do like one or two to build orders to win. But it was interesting.
Maybe they'll fix that for the second one. Maybe they'll have more options.
Tile. If you don't know what Tile is, they're the popular company that you can locate your stuff by attaching a tile to it, who has now been almost completely invalidated because Apple got into that game. So what do?
Tile is selling its Bluetooth tracking business to Life360 for $205 million. Now that Apple has location trackers too, Tile may need more money behind it to compete. So when Apple first launched, I really thought that Tile was going to sue them because they had better IP and patents and things.
Yeah.
But it turns out that Tile is apparently, high-dollar lawyers have looked at this and said, well, it's Apple, you're screwed.
I mean, that's probably not untrue, but you'd think they'd be able to fight it.
Also, how has Microsoft not sued Life360? I guess 365, right? It's close, and it's enough difference.
I mean, Bethesda
but they had
Doom.
the Xbox 360.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody goes after like Doom for anything that contains Doom, like Doom scrolling, then it seems like Microsoft could do that as well.
Well, maybe they're too big now. Now that they have Tile, too big to sue. Decentraland, I've never heard of it. Have you?
No.
It's one of these online, like they're trying to do the metaverse thing. I think they were probably already doing the metaverse thing before it became cool. And so digital real estate, this is just another one of those crazy headlines where like, really, how could it possibly be worth that amount? But it's a little bit deeper than that because it wasn't even worth the amount they paid. They paid more for the headline.
Decentraland price fails to rally after 2.4 million sale of digital plot to Metaverse Group. Yeah, this seemed like the more you dig into this, the more it seems like they tried to get somebody to buy their stuff at an inflated price in order to kickstart a tulip bulb mania type thing, and the whole thing collapsed.
So it was only worth 1.2 million. Well, in reality, it was worth zero.
Yeah, it's in funny money, I guess.
As far as like the public listing, it was worth 1.2. They paid 2.4, apparently just for a headline, and they got it. But the price tanked afterwards. It does not seem to have stuck. Ian Culley gave terrible advice.
Shucks.
Might as well listen to those commenters on our videos who are like, I had a big week in crypto, and then they got 25 responses. It's like, I don't think that's a real person. Oh, you know what? I clicked the paywall alternative and then the paywall story. Oops. That's the real one from Reuters.
There is a video on here,
but
though.
you can't read it.
Well, there's a video that you can see, I guess, of the virtual world.
Oh no, don't use too much of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a terrible metaverse. That's disgusting.
Just guy online.
The worst thing about the metaverse is how janky and unusable it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, those Apple videos, I was genuinely impressed with what you can do on an iPhone.
Are you going to use the Apple metaverse?
Probably not.
Well, one problem with the Apple metaverse is going to be the walled garden, right? Because if you get malware in your metaverse, people are going to be really upset about that. And Apple seems to be not in control the way that they claim they are.
Apple just provided the perfect example of why you can't trust App Store review scores. Apple Podcasts rises above bad reviews, but at what cost?
How do you do it? You trick your users into reviewing the podcasts, not the podcast player.
At first, I thought this was poor design, but it turns out that this is probably done on purpose to get the app to have a higher rating.
So if you look at the ratings, they're all rating individual podcasts, not Apple Podcasts. And they like them. And you can see the evolution of the score here when somebody figured out that this works.
Our analytics dashboard says we're on fire. We can do no wrong. The analytics dashboard doesn't lie.
It just misrepresents what's actually happening. But it's not lying.
That seems like semantics, Kristen. And perhaps this Israeli decision to blacklist a lot more countries from the spyware has something to do with getting a phone call from Tim Cook because he is not happy about it.
Apple sues Israeli spyware maker seeking to block its access to iPhones. That's the headline, but also included in this article is Apple has gone through and started auditing every iPhone connected to iCloud. And they're actually sending you messages to be like, we found evidence of that you may have been targeted. We should probably look at this.
Our spying has uncovered spying.
There is a little bit of irony there.
A little bit.
But I think that if it happened to me, I think I would want Apple to do what they're doing since I don't have access to do what Apple is doing and I can't audit it myself, which is the problem.
But what you really want is access, right?
Yes.
They're not going to give that to you.
No. If I had access, I could audit it.
And then you could embarrass them.
Yeah.
Which is why you'll never get access.
Probably will never get any bug bounties or anything. You know, Microsoft lowered their bug bounties on stuff.
In fact, there's a story about it.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's in security.
And in our final business story, we have an exciting new thing, electric airplanes. And this one in particular is really amazing.
Rolls-Royce claims its all-electric plane with the clunky name is the world's fastest.
That seems like the editor was trying to get just the right amount of words in there, but was struggling because of the clunky name.
It's the spirit of innovation.
Yeah.
It goes fast. 387.4 miles per hour.
What was it the Kitty Hawk? It was Wright Brothers? The Spirit of St. Louis. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the Spirit. That's why they...
Yeah.
It's all about the Spirit. I got a distance record as well, I think. It did a lot of cool stuff. And then they said the numbers were even better the second time they took it out, but they weren't recording. So it's not exactly a passenger plane. This is kind of
it's cute.
A sports plane. I don't think anybody's going to own one, but looks nice. It's kind of weird that like electric planes, like there's no way for you can't do jet propulsion with electric, right? So they got to be prop planes.
Yes.
That's going to be weird if we have those giant, school bus planes and they're all prop driven.
I saw a design that was using some kind of there's apparently like wings around a circular rotor, and that's a really efficient way to do like prop style airplanes. But I need to read more about that. It was just wings on a drum that go all the way across, but the mechanism could rotate the wing on the drum, and so depending on how fast the thing was spinning, you could get lift.
But you couldn't do turboprop. Right. Well, I guess an electric turbine, but then you're not generating any thrust out the back. Electric planes are an interesting concept. All right, that's the end of that section.
Woo! There's so many people that gave us a ton of money. Zach Kinserin, I've been watching since Wendell was 2 eyes between monitors. Will we ever escape the grip of Amazon? Will Bezos' monster ever be broken up? Amazon is here to stay in the way that like General Electric and AT&T are here to stay. It might not be. It's in its glory days right now. It might not always be, but it's there's just it's unstoppable. It's gonna be here.
What if Bezos dies though?
I think if Bezos dies, it's basically fine because he's not the CEO anymore.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess his kids won't take over. It'll be whoever's already in line.
Philip Roberts gave us £5. William High gave us €5. Jim gave us $1.49. John Anglimo gave us $50 and says, "Yay! I have posted my first post on the Level 1 Text forums." Well, thank you.
Woohoo! Hopefully for November.
Igor Ramon says $10. Hello from Brazil. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Love the show, and I'm constantly sending off high-pitched screams at work. That's really the only catharsis for watching this.
You should try punching a pillow.
Philip Roberts says, "Krista, you are looking gorgeous today." And Vanessa
thanks.
said, "That's what I'm talking about."
How
Not
much,
really.
How much did he stamp on her right there?
£5.
Wow.
Vanessa was like, "I feel bad for Krista." Docs D. Lamanca says $5. Says, "Keep up the good work. The only tech news that I watch, 9LZ is Nog50 says, "Yay live. Thank you for providing excellent pre-work morning coffee entertainment. Stay awesome." Avoids $7.99 says, "Your beard is looking splendid today. Thanks for all your content, especially the news." Highland Overlord says, "Love seeing the Intel comeback. It excites me." It is potentially very exciting. Tech Max Power is £2 and says, "Lots of love and goodwill from the UK." Well, thank you.
Are we caught up?
We Simping for Gordon gave us $5 and says, "Love you all. Can you help settle a debate with the Gordon my own from PC World? Which is a better movie, Alien or Aliens?"
Aliens.
Those are not my cup of tea.
Really?
You think Aliens is better?
Yeah. You know?
Aliens is one with the kid, right?
Aliens is the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Wait,
know.
I don't know.
No, Alien is the first one, and then I think Aliens is the second. That sounds right.
Yeah. There were more aliens in Aliens. You got to see more of them. If you're a fan of the Jaws type, don't show me the monster.
Yeah, see, I think I kind of liked Alien better, but I liked the kid Newt a lot too.
What about the cat?
Jonesy, yeah,
Cat
Jonesy
was
was
the
good.
number one character. I don't even remember which one that was in. Honestly,
That was in the first one.
I haven't watched them recently enough to weigh in on that.
And PSA, the Level 1 Text KVMs are still in stock.
And hoodies as well. If
What are
you're
you guys
interested in that.
Come on.
I feel it should be like QVC, where it's like, "Oh, is it still in stock? Let's get a caller on the phone."
Not QVC, the knife guy and the baseball card guy. Be dialing. All right, are we ready?
I think so.
This, I forgot to put the paywall alternative in here, and my God, Business Insider just doesn't even want you to even see the headline. But if you recall, Clubhouse, it blew onto the scene, and then it was like, Elon Musk loves this. You never heard anything else about it. Well, it turns out there's a reason you never heard anything else about it.
Can't read the headline. The rise and fall of Clubhouse, the poster child of hype for the P word.
So, what they're saying is Clubhouse was a stupid idea. It was voice calling, which you already have.
Right.
People got hyped about it. There was no reason to, and now it's going to die. Which is
Well, I think too they mentioned like a lot of services already copied it too, like Twitter did the Hangouts or whatever,
Yeah.
and so it was like, why go to Clubhouse if you're already on one of these bigger companies?
And Clubhouse, Twitter can offer Clubhouse functionality, but Clubhouse doesn't offer Twitter functionality.
Right.
So why would you ever go there?
Also, Facebook just rolled out their Clubhouse clone, which is quite competent.
Wow, it's a lot of alliteration that
Yeah.
you did not mean to do there. Well, Niantic, if you recall, Niantic was the Google outfit, and when I think actually they predated Pokemon Go, right? They did the AR game before anybody else, but then Pokemon Go did it and took over the world, and no one cared about Niantic anymore. But now, since they do have some AR experience, perhaps they can build the metaverse.
Niantic raises $300 million at a $9 billion valuation to build the quote-unquote real-world metaverse. So if you're not, Pokemon Go was actually really good for
Did you ever play it?
AR stuff. I never did.
There were people all over the place near where we live because I think there was a gym.
I knew some people that were really, really super, super into it to the point that they were carrying around extra phones and they were borrowing our extra test phones because they were like, oh, there's a gym nearby. I need to borrow some extra phones.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
Do you think any of those people are still maintaining their carefully curated Pokemons?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard a lot about it, but this company, like, they're even if they don't intend to do this, they're probably sitting around like, everybody knows us for this Pokemon Go thing, which is just brilliant. We could get $300 million for nothing if we just say, hey, we're going to do this too.
Now, is Nintendo currently working on Pokemon NFTs? They have to be, right?
I think that Nintendo is going to stay away from that because Nintendo historically has been really hard-headed and really late to embrace new technology and new things.
As I say, they're kind of more conservative as a company. Like they don't really get into stuff quickly.
But you got to collect them all, literally.
I mean, like Nintendo 64 could have easily run old Nintendo games, and they were super reluctant to do that.
They do make some terrible decisions. Although NFTs are terrible decisions. Huh?
Compound terrible decisions.
Spotify is taking a lot of flack. It seems like their employees are very, very, very concerned about what's going out over their platform. And then you get weird things about the artists. It's almost like these people are really high-strung and annoying. But I don't know. I kind of agree with this one because why would random be the default?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Adele, is that how you say that?
Adele.
Adele gets Spotify to take shuffle button off all album pages. Yeah, I don't.
You probably would recognize her songs if you heard them because they're that popular, but you probably don't know her.
Yeah,
name.
you've heard them in stores.
Yeah, I don't.
Also, did they use an old fat picture of Adele here? Isn't she super skinny now?
It looks like on a talk show or something with the studio audience in the background.
She has I watched an interview with her recently because it was trending on YouTube, and I was like, screw it, I'll waste time on this. And she has a very thick Cockney accent, which really surprised me because it does not come out in her singing at all.
But yeah, she's saying, hey, I put a lot of effort into the organization and the layout of these tracks. Why would you just destroy that with your stupid shuffle button?
It is kind of funny. I was thinking about that in terms of something that I can understand, like Star Trek, when I read that in the article. And I was like, would I want shuffle on Star Trek The Next Generation? And it's like, no.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's offensive. Why would anybody ever want that?
Well, yeah, but see, at the same time, there are still artists who are doing dumb stuff from the CD days as if it's still the CD days. Like, don't lead me into a track on your album with 20 seconds of silence.
Yeah.
What? I love Tool with that last album. They did a little too much of that garbage. Chocolate Chip Trip is not a real song, and I'll fight anybody that says otherwise.
Oh, that actually might be controversial because Tool fans are intense.
That's just stupidity on an album. That's just an insult to us to see if anybody would notice. I know how that man operates.
I can make an effort to understand these things, but then my interpretation of it is even more alien, and so it doesn't make sense.
It could be entertaining though. Well, you remember the Facebook papers? There was some embarrassing stuff that came out, and we didn't get to see all of it, but maybe we will after some slight redactions.
We're making the Facebook papers public. Here's why, and here's how.
What a great stock image.
The Facebook papers. We're making it public because these are bombshell papers, and no one thus far has cared about the level of insanity that these papers have uncovered. So read it for yourself and judge for yourself, but I think it's too little too late.
Plus, there's a lot of nice content. Keeps a lot of people busy. I'm looking forward to it. I won't read it all, but I'll read the excerpts. That'll be fine.
I'm going to read the excerpts that are like, it turns out that if we do this, children will treat our content like crack cocaine. And then there's a memo that's like, we should do more of that.
I'll read a part of it, and then I'll be upset and then have to take a hate nap.
Now, if you remember at the start of all this horror, there was, the big businesses like Zoom and Signal and Telegram. They blew up, and people started talking about, encryption. What is this end-to-end encryption? Maybe I should want that. Can I have that? And Zoom was like, yeah, you can have it, which was a lie. And Facebook said, no, yeah, we're going to do that soon. Like really, really soon. Don't worry. We're definitely going to do that.
We've been working on that for months. It's almost ready.
And here we are 2 years later, and we find this out.
Meta delays encrypted messages on Facebook and Instagram to 2023. Cynical opinion is that this is being done for leverage with governments. So governments are like, we need to be able to spy on those messages. And they're like, hey, back off of us, and we will give you that. Just please.
That was exactly my reading as well. And I was like, that's probably true.
Well, that's not what they say. They say that they're getting a lot of pushback on, like child safety type stuff. Because that's always the argument that you run out when people are after, it's like, hey, we need encryption. They're like, no. Child molesters use that. You're not a child molester, are you? We'll never see it. Not in the current iteration of Facebook. And a big move in the CEO world. Will it be good or will it be disaster? I actually think they're going to get somebody in there who's actually going to try to make money.
We've had several people ask about this in the chat already. It's like, have they talked about this yet?
Here it comes.
Have some patience. Jesus.
Jack Dorsey has stepped down as Twitter's CEO, effective immediately. I really think The Verge should have put the effective immediately on there because it's a lot more clickbait. Yeah, it's effective immediately. He's going to stay on the board until May-ish, but the CTO is going to take over. I don't know anything about. There's no background. It seems very sudden.
The vibe I got is that he's getting forced out.
Yeah, Mudge, the famous security researcher, has said this is a good thing, and good luck, Jack, and the CTO becoming leader was the right move. So we shall see.
That article also went into detail about how they've tried to force him out before. And I was like, oh, so this is just a long time coming.
So there you go, chat.
What's he going to do with all his free time?
Tweet, obviously.
Didn't he do Stripe or something?
Square.
Yeah.
Square, yeah. So probably that.
Yeah, but right now he's doing Square and Twitter, so we can assume that he's going to have some time, right?
Foughton says, Ryan, you're looking particularly gorgeous today.
Oh.
Hylian Overlord says, Niantic made Pokemon Go. Yeah, we got to that eventually. We're just slow.
It's because I'm filled with sodium and calories.
Oh, have you been fed this morning?
Oh, not this morning, but the past week has just been an orgy of food.
TRPLLLL100 gave us $30 and says, love y'all. Look forward to the news every week. Well, thank you, because we have, in fact, lost monetization on this video.
You know what we look forward to? Your donations.
Adam Marquez says $5. Like, team, what cell phone do you guys use? I get a Pixel or a OnePlus 8, I think.
I have a Note 8.
And there's some people in the office that have gotten the new Pixel, and they like it except for the new Android OS, which is weird.
I have an S10 Plus.
Stigen Vandermolden, it was €5. Keep up the good work, L1T. Stay awesome, Wendell. Greetings from Europe. Adam Bibby says the audio dips when you cut to the scene with the screen capture. Also, Chocolate Chip Trip is a banger.
Garbage.
David Pollock, the CCC100, says, do you have musical anhedonia by any chance?
There's an actual disease?
Isn't that when you can't, I've heard face blindness used with that term as well. So, you can't recognize faces. Maybe there's a musical version of that.
It's very possible that it's actually structural brain damage, but, I don't worry about it.
It's one of those things that's crazy. I would be so upset if I lost it, but if you've never known it.
Yeah, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. Yeah.
I enjoy the cleverness of Weird Al's lyrics for things because they make sense in a way that the original lyrics don't make sense to me. So,
but that is not music. You're appreciating something other than
You're appreciating
music.
the writing, not the music.
I'm not saying that Weird Al's not a talented musician, but I'm saying that I don't think that's his number one goal.
I also find that I very often misunderstand the lyrics, and because Weird Al's lyrics sound very similar to the original lyrics,
Weird Al will enunciate. He has to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He has to enunciate it perfectly, or it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But the way that he enunciates it in my brain, often his lyrics will become the original lyrics. Like tacky versus happy. Was it Pharrell? Is that a Pharrell song?
That is.
I should be able it's like happy, and it's like, oh, this is, and it's just a very simple song, but it's tacky in my mind.
Yeah, but that song is trash. That's just, top 40 garbage to keep people happy while they shop. That's just to keep the consumers calm.
The chocolate chip cookies
trample one another
of music. There's nothing, no great emotional revelation.
He's happy.
You trying to say chocolate chip cookies aren't a fine cookie?
No, I don't know. I don't know what the comparison is. See, I have no appreciation.
Oatmeal.
Moonlight Sonata. I like Moonlight Sonata. Moonlight Sonata speaks to me on a kind of a mathematical level.
Yeah, but now you're talking about a whole different class of musician.
Yeah.
Those guys who were so good that we've never even gotten close to them since then? I like them.
Shavendra So Connie says, great job as always. Greetings from India at 1 a.m.
Wow.
We have some crazy people down here, but love your selection of the news as always. Well, we try to cover India. We don't know what's going on over there. So if we ever get it wrong, let us know, or help us understand. Help us understand your perspective, because there's a lot of really exciting things happening in India. But then at the same time, it's like, what are you doing with that national ID system? That's not. You're watching this program. You've got a duty to warn your countrymen about the impending insanity.
And they'll get dragged off. You don't want that.
That is, India is probably one of the most pronounced places where the generational tech gap is massively huge, plus the caste system and the wealth tech gap. But you've got these guys with nothing who are learning that in order to scam us and getting really good at it. Is that overall that might be good for a society?
I respect the hustle.
All right, on to the security.
Security, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Roblox.
Or I think this is security rather than social. Yeah. Because this is a security story. Because this is a security that the people at Roblox, they're having a security issue, and it has to do with the fact that when you sell someone tickets, you can't necessarily stop who buys the tickets. And if they're willing to repeatedly buy the ticket over and over in order to harass you, what are you going to do about it?
Roblox sues a YouTuber for $1.6 million over terrorizing the kids' platform. Ruben Sim is accused of sexual harassment, terroristic threats, and trying to post Hitler pics. So this is just your garden variety trolling kids on Roblox, and it's probably a terms of service violation. It probably is a felony here in the U.S. He's probably going to lose the case.
Yeah, the children are involved. So getting in front of a jury, if any of them are parents.
Well, this is going to be a civil suit, but you get the feeling that the Roblox people tried to get a prosecutor to take it up as not a civil suit first. So I think this kid should consider himself lucky that it's not resulting in criminal charges.
Also, my favorite part about that headline is the unspoken piece, which is tried to post pictures of Hitler, which means that they have some kind of system in place
that catches it
to actively stop pictures of Hitler, which means that wasn't the first time that that's been attempted.
There were some really hilarious videos on YouTube of Club Penguin. You remember Club Penguin?
Yeah.
And people were trying to do things in Club Penguin, and it was just like, nope.
You get banned.
That was a favorite target of 4chan. Was Club Penguin. Well, there's a new zero-day vulnerability with Windows, although this one is one that requires you to already have an account. So just lock down all the other accounts on your system and you'll be fine.
New Windows Zero Day with public exploit lets you become an admin. Are you a regular user on Windows 10 or Windows 11? All you got to do is just run this thing and then you're an admin. Actually, you run as system user, which is an even higher privilege level than admin. And you can dump the I forgot what it's called. The like hidden key store area, which has to do with like the in-flight encryption stuff and TPM stuff. You can dump all that.
And this exploit is being released not because Microsoft didn't know about it, but because Microsoft lowballed the bug bounty.
Yes.
This guy expected to get 10 grand for this, and this is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a serious threat. This is a real thing you would expect to get paid for. In a bug bounty, they offered him $1,000.
Yeah. Microsoft has lowered the bug bounties across the board for a lot of things because their operating system is holier than Swiss cheese. This is what happens. These kinds of exploits take a long time to develop. And nation states are spending a lot of money developing these. So these exploits were probably known to the NSO group and probably known to the NSA and others.
What would NSO or Celebrite or any of those companies, they'd give him 20 grand for that.
They'd probably give him 100.
Yeah. Just to be able to use it one time on one very specific target.
Right.
But he was nice enough to not do that. Just gave it to everybody. I bet they'll fix it. This one's a fun story, and you shouldn't count on this. This is not security, but it makes you feel good as a user who is not among the filthy masses milling around down there in all lowercase letterville. We're better than them.
Attackers don't bother brute forcing long passwords, Microsoft engineer says. So 1 to 7 characters, it's over. A password over 10 characters, we only see less than 6% of brute force cases.
And no extended characters. Sometimes they throw in a number, but no extended characters, which is weird because most password policies now require that.
Yeah.
This was RDP brute force hacking. RDP does not enforce a password policy unless it's on your active directory. So keep those passwords long and complicated.
Woo!
Oh, look. A WordPress security breach.
Oh, surprise.
But for once,
it wasn't WordPress.
Not the fault of WordPress.
GoDaddy security breach exposes WordPress user data. So if you pay if you pay GoDaddy for your hosting and you use WordPress, chances are your information has been exposed, including your plain text password. Ooh, that is not a security best practice. This should be super embarrassing for GoDaddy. The number of accounts compromised here is in the millions.
Ooh.
So if you are a customer of GoDaddy, or hosting anyway, not their domains, you might want to look into changing your password.
Having the plain text password out there for the public to see is going to lower WordPress security by like 5%.
Now, it is true that if you got your WordPress thing set up and then you changed the password, they didn't keep track of what you changed it to. It was just the initial password that they generated for you. Well, they still got your billing info and a bunch of other stuff, though.
Whoever changes the initial password. I don't have time for that.
A lot of people do not.
And, of course, the cloud continues to be subjected, changed, used for horrible purposes because no one ever secures their cloud account. And when you don't do that, guess what's going to happen?
Google warns that crypto miners are using compromised cloud accounts. So this is the Google Compute platform. If you have a Google account that has access to GCP, meaning you could spend money like Azure or anything else, you can order compute resources on GCP. So if Google has your access to your Google account and you have access to Google Compute and your credit card is on file, they will order machines to do cryptocurrency mining on. So this is a failure to secure your Google account. They'll also set it up with API access, which bypasses two-factor and a bunch of other things because that's how the compute cloud platform thing is supposed to work. So if they get through and they have your account and they get the API access to Google Compute, even after you change your password, it doesn't necessarily change access to Google Compute. So you'll have to go into the Google Compute platform. Even if you were not previously a customer of Google Compute, they signed you up in order to cancel the account and make it stop billing you. It's very easy to run up thousands of dollars of charges on GCP mining cryptocurrency for someone else.
As the kids say, oof. Was that the last security story?
Yes.
I see you organizing over there. I think they also saw you organizing stories for a brief moment.
It's a nice little preview for them.
Is that it for security?
That's it for security.
Hang on. The super chats came in faster than I could keep up with. I'm so sorry.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Money. Jim gave us $5. Gingy says level 1 NFTs win.
We tried that briefly. just dipped our toe in the water and we were like, oh.
But that was somebody else's work. What's that guy's name?
Brian
Hemersk. He made those AMD GIFs.
He's very good.
And I think Krista should make something in the vein of the stuff we looked at a couple of weeks ago.
Who the bot gave us £5. I'm sorry I mispronounced that. Hey Krista, how long are you planning to keep your Note 8 considering it's no longer supported by security updates? Love the videos, guys.
I kind of tend to run phones into the ground. I'm probably due for an upgrade, but
Mazen Basha says, Wendell, Ryan, Krista, any book recommendations? You also missed my first super chat. Oh, I'm so sorry.
What Are People For by Wendell Berry. Different Wendell. But from this area.
I would read The Wheel of Time right now just to see what they've done to it. Look what they did to my boy.
Isn't that like 14 books? My husband's trying to get through it.
Oh, yeah. And he talks a lot about
the last few get sketchy, don't they? Because the guy died and somebody else finished
it. I actually have not finished the series. But wherever I got up to, like book 10 or whatever, they were decent.
I remember reading like the first, second one and getting kind of tired of it.
I've also been reading the girl books. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, and blah, 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 blah. Those are okay. She's a little too, like, she always gets the upper hand. Although she does get messed up pretty bad before that.
Does it seem realistic, though? Or is it kind of like, oh, that happened at the last second?
No, it's always her, like, accepting the punishment and then having this giant Machiavellian plan that you don't see coming.
Did you watch the original Swedish movies?
No, I just watched the Daniel Craig one. That's what made me get interested in
it. Sean of the Sack, I think is how I say that. Hello from Ireland, where the Diet Orange Soda has real bits in it. Brand is equal to club. Been a fan since Wendell was a set of eyes behind Megadeth.
What does that mean?
What?
Well, the orange soda has bits in it.
I think that means where orange soda has bits of real orange in it.
Yeah, like bits of orange.
Oh, pulp.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Pulp, okay.
club soda with orange. Bushy says, Wendell Dare to Be Stupid. Yes, that's a Weird Al album. I'm familiar with the reference.
Do you know where that's from?
Dare to Be Stupid?
A little film
I don't know this reference either.
called The Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really bad with film knowledge. Wendell's bad with music knowledge.
It's fine. All right, what's next?
Are
Our next section?
Our next section is
Oh, Nubbin's here. Nubbin, you should be
Hey,
doing
Nubbin.
something else.
robots. Yes.
Robots and then nonsense. You're going to want to stick around for nonsense. Also, get all your friends in here for nonsense because, good Lord, the nonsense.
Speaking of FIFA, let's dip our toes into some dangerous waters here, but not actually say it.
Okay.
Have you been following the controversy there?
There's a new controversy everywhere. What's the FIFA one?
The FIFA one is an unusual number of young men collapsing due to heart conditions during soccer games.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh, that's not good.
And Wikipedia blocking new additions from that list as it was created as of October.
Ooh.
The other thing that FIFA's working on is getting robots in there because human beings introduce a problem with sporting events. They can introduce mistakes. They can change the outcome of game, but robots will never do that to us.
FIFA to test automatic offside technology next week in preparation for the Qatar World Cup.
Now, the weird thing about this is the way this thing works, if I understand this correctly, is it automatically detects the call. Then it text messages one of the officials with a video of the call. Then he watches the video. Then he ultimately decides if it was real or not.
This
That's
just seems
not
like
going to work.
it just seems like extra steps.
Also a very fast-paced game, right? So
The cellular network was never designed to work at such speeds.
what happens if there's an offside call? The text message is delayed for 5 minutes, but it was clearly an offside. You're not just going to go back. You're going to erase all the footage there, right? It's going to be interesting. Now, Wendell, you mentioned you'd seen this one before. We may very well have done this story before.
We did.
It looks familiar.
Because it turns out that 6 months ago, this was an outrage in a different country.
Yes.
But then, apparently, these were just in a warehouse somewhere, and they were like, you know what? Let's just sell these to the Canadians. Because I don't think any of them are going to be speaking, what was it, Polish?
Polish. Yeah.
And they were wrong.
Walmart pulls a children's toy that swears and sings in Polish about doing cocaine.
They contacted the artist whose voice is in the thing, and he was like, no one ever contacted me about using that. I'm angry.
Now, this story is from November 23rd, but this might seem like deja vu because we actually did cover this like a year ago. These have just been in a warehouse.
It's hilarious that they didn't just destroy them.
Oh, there's another $5 for Ryan's Whoop Whoop Fund.
Oh,
Also, like, why would you think that a cactus rapping in Polish would be a hit amongst non-Polish people?
Well, because it's just cute and makes no sense.
I think it's sang in like 3 or 4 different languages, and they're like, "Oh, these other ones sound okay." It was the Polish translation that was messed up.
There's a song about cocaine. And,
Yep.
and like suicidal cocaine use.
Yeah, the guy was like, "The song's actually really dark." I don't know why they used it.
Which is funny because the cactus is just wiggling as he sings it.
Yeah,
Oh, man. What was the name of that movie? Armageddon. The movie Armageddon. With fewer steps and not as much drama is going to play out. Will it work? We don't know. But luckily, we don't have to know yet. However, some people are claiming that at the end of December, the real one's coming. And that's why we're trying to figure this out now.
NASA just launched a spacecraft that will crash into an asteroid. It's the DART. So this could eventually save us from an Armageddon-style super asteroid that's coming right for us.
but not a black hole.
No.
Nothing saves us from the black hole.
Launching rockets into a black hole, it's like an appetizer.
Yum.
But here's what I'm thinking. Haven't the Russians just proved that they've already got something here?
Yeah.
Why don't we let them do that?
Maybe we come together and it finally unites us as one world peace.
Sure, right. Let's
Just
come
in
together
time for
against the
Christmas.
asteroid. And then we find out the Chinese are working with the asteroid.
Oh, what a twist.
Alphabet.
Contact us for screenplay ideas.
Alphabet is, I guess, some people are back in the office, but not all of them, and that's leading to maybe the custodial workers
Oh my gosh! I watched this video.
aren't showing up to the office or whatever. Maybe they just have too many robots on their hands.
I want one for each floor of this building.
They do look cool, don't they? I don't think they're super effective, but I would love to have one. as well.
Alphabet is putting its prototype robots to work, cleaning up around Google's offices. Did you watch the video?
What's a little bit of
I
it?
watched part of it.
There's
yeah.
a video of this thing cleaning a bathroom, and it was doing an amazing
So
job.
I only watched the videos of it cleaning tables.
It drove right up to a urinal, and it power washed a urinal that had just caked on filth. It was amazing.
Do you think that they artificially messed up a urinal at the Google?
Yes.
Because there's no way their urinals were that dirty.
Yeah, I know.
Also, Krista, just like the Raptors.
Yeah, he can open doors. Not even Raptor accessible ones. I like that he's immediately making a bid for freedom, though. He's like, please let me out. I've been working for 5 hours. Or not 5 hours, like 20 hours. They don't let me have breaks. I need to pee so bad.
He's calling up China. He's like, I've got all the information.
Yeah, I think this is like a public rest stops and things like that. These guys are going to be in a closet, and when the last person exits the bathroom, it's a deadbolt is going to lock. This guy's going to come out, and 5 minutes later, the bathroom's going to be clean. I am all about that future.
I was about to shoot that down until you said the deadbolt, because if he's in there messing
Someone's
with
gonna be
people,
messing with him,
they're
yeah.
gonna hurt him.
Yeah.
Or steal him.
They're going to steal his copper.
That'd be funny if he's designed, because he can't fight back. That would be too much of a risk for like lawsuits and stuff. But he's just really chastising you as you're taking his copper.
Please, no.
My copper is only worth $35. I'll give that to you if you stop now.
Do you know what the consequences of this might be?
And then you stop, but then he's like, oh, actually, it's only in NFTs. And then you keep stripping him.
Copper NFTs.
I'll give you $35 in NFT.
I've heard this robot has NFTs inside it. It just doesn't even work that way.
It's in the computer?
You can only trade your copper NFTs for crack NFTs, not actual crack. It's just a link to a video of the crack.
Watch
we
someone
were
else
smoking.
snorting it.
Yeah. Snorting it.
Whatever
Come on,
you do
Krista.
with crack.
You'd have a tough time snorting crack.
How do you do crack?
Crack is it's been made into rock form by the process.
Do you do the spoon thing?
So you smoke it. No, you smoke it.
I don't know.
Level 1 drug tips.
You never heard of the glass penis?
No.
Yeah, well,
We're demonetized, so let's just roll with it. Let's talk about how you do drugs.
when people always have that glass stem in their mouth on the streets, that's known as
Oh, they're like the rose? The thing that they sell at
there's
gas
a variety
stations?
of
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Emojis. Every so often they update them, they add, they remove. This time it's Microsoft, and they've brought back everyone's. Do you call him a robot? I'm calling him a robot for the purposes of today's
Yes.
categorization. Whereas the Flippy is one of the best robots, this one might be one of the worst.
Next, Windows 11 update brings back Clippy along with other redesigned emoji. So Microsoft has decided that heavy black lines are out and fluffy drop shadows are in. Or something.
You know what I say to that? I think black lines matter. What do you think, Krista? On the right is the new one.
I mean, I think they're fine. I wonder, with the prevalence of dark mode, if that's part of the reason they got rid of the big heavy line, because they're like, oh, it's not really needed for the detail. But I don't know. Maybe it shows up better on different colors.
It bugs me because they're not in the same order, and it's like,
Yeah.
what is the new one and the old one? And it's like,
I want to compare Dragon 1-to-1, but now I'm like, Dragon versus Lizard?
I'm just lost. I feel like the Clippy emoji has a lot of really high potential for good sarcastic texts.
Yeah, you're going to use that a lot?
Yeah.
sometime after the fall of civilization, and like archaeologists 1,000 years from now discover like the emoji thing and or Unicode, and there's like 4,000 characters. Like, good Lord, no wonder their society collapsed. There were 4,000 characters in their alphabet.
They need a Rosetta Stone to like translate. Someone keeps putting this eggplant emoji, but we don't know what it means.
They developed a language and then they went back to hieroglyphics. Doesn't make any sense. What were these people doing? And when it comes to the supply chain, we're hurting. And
oh, yeah.
I don't think the problem is on the boats. I think the problem is at the docks, but maybe this could help.
You have no idea what I went through to get parts for those KVMs that are on sale at the Level 1 store. Good Lord.
Well, maybe if you'd had this boat.
First electric autonomous cargo ship has been launched in Norway. So this gives the option of basically zero carbon footprint cargo delivery, which is going to make more of a difference for carbon offset than just about anything else.
Wow, they didn't create any carbon creating those giant engines?
No, it's usage, not creation.
Oh.
Just to clarify.
Oh, so they're in a bit of a deficit then.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But it doesn't get any worse over time as they use it. So
what if it sinks?
Well, then, yeah, that would be a problem.
Net loss, huh? You know what's crazy about this? Like, look how good this thing looks. It's so beautiful and pristine, and this was like the first journey. Everything was amazing inside. The first thing they stored, fertilizer. So the holds are just filthy great now. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty cool. Now, they have not figured out the whole thing where it's like, what happens when it breaks down and there's nobody there? There is no solution to that.
You fly out somebody on an airplane.
That's going to eat into your profits, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, hopefully they don't break down very much.
But you can't land an airplane on that thing. What are you talking about?
No, you could take a seaplane out to it.
Oh, you're going to land in the water?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
What kind of hazard pay am I getting for that?
I think that's pretty much standard for things like oil rigs. And
that's going to be a great movie. The guy seaplanes out, gets on the derelict boat to try to figure out what happened, and basically you've got, like an Aliens type situation.
It was raptors the whole time.
Sea raptors.
The worst kind of raptors.
They threw little grappling hooks up there, shimmied up.
Jurassic World 2.
No, don't you remember in Jurassic Park they were systematically testing the fences and they could jump really high? They would just jump onto the boat. They don't even need to rappel up.
Out of the water.
Yeah.
Well, they use their tail to generate enough thrust to get... Yeah, I've heard raptors can do that. Well, this was an interesting story, and unfortunately, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, maybe there's some potential here, but it's just so new.
I like this.
I thought it was kind of cool.
I don't know if we were ready for this story yet.
Is this the kind of thing in Warhammer? This is a pretty common technology in a lot of science fiction, very similar to this.
I don't think Warhammer ever got this complex, really, because they were more about just throwing the human solution at problems rather than
the
this
Russian
kind
method.
The innovation here is amazing.
This ink is alive and made entirely of microbes. Scientists have created a bacterial ink that reproduces itself and can be 3D printed into a living structure. So it's not that they're 3D printing the bacteria per se. You should really check out this article. They're basically 3D printing a structure, like a honeycomb structure, and putting a solution in it. So the idea here is that this would be like armor for a spacecraft. And when it's in space, the bacteria, it's cold, they'll go to sleep, and nothing really bad happens. But when a hole is punctured or something like that, it's going to get warmer because you're venting atmosphere. The bacteria are going to wake up, but they'll reproduce and plug the hole. So it's like self-healing armor for your spacecraft. I'm excited by this.
The pictures of it were pretty cool too. It was like very gummy looking, and like they had it being extruded out.
How many Stellaris research points do I have to invest in that?
A lot.
So
that
many.
Sounds like a really good hull technology.
Sometimes you don't even get regenerative hull tissue. It's living metal is what it is in the Stellaris tech tree, the best I can remember. And if you don't find a living metal source or you don't research it, you just never get it.
That's tough.
Sometimes you can get ships that heal if you get an engineering perk, like if your generals have the ability to repair ships not near a starbase, they'll heal over time. But living metal is definitely the best one.
You want to do a quick Stellaris section? We can just run through the tech tree. We're done with that one. Give us the donations.
We've got quite a few. Whoop whoop, $5. D for $5. Any chance for an updated studio tour? We are working on Ryan's office as an updated level 1 news set. Big firmware. That's funny. It's £5. Do we need to pay you to read messages? Well, apparently.
We can't read all the messages.
I mean, we kind of skim them, but
Robbie Rutt gave us €5 and says the mic volume is lower when the website is visible. Is this intended? No, that's not intended.
Oh, you know what? I bet it's...
Bloop. No, it's not.
it looks the same.
Should be the same.
It might be a filter that's got a boost or something. Because, yeah, my levels do look a little higher on this one, so it's probably like a 10 dB boost or something.
You know what we should do the next time we're going to do this is not depend on these presets. We need to start completely over.
Make new ones.
We need to start completely over and make it nice with like some decorators and stuff. Because
Yeah.
everybody, like even people that have like 2 viewers, have a much nicer setup than we do.
Twitch overlays, but less like obnoxious. Actually, let's make it like a blingy overlay.
Manny D with the unpronounceable last name, I'm so sorry, has a $7 Canadian. Thank you for the content. Any plan on having more in-depth training series? Maybe going over setting up the perfect home lab and all that kind of stuff. The YouTube hasn't been good for the training stuff. Doing stuff on like Udemy has been good, but I don't know. The YouTube algorithm is sort of punishing of that kind of like training content. We did the 099 videos, and they actually do hold up pretty good over time, but it's, I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah, I'll probably do some more. I mean, we're kind of... Well, first of all, anytime we do a video and Wendell's not in it, you're automatically going to cut like half the viewership there.
That's crazy.
And
They just don't know you.
then, like... we've only been doing this for 4 years. And
Well, I mean, Wendell was kind of like the first face.
And then, you know, there's like a lot of those videos you go and it's like, okay, let me do some research to do this. And you see like 6 other videos that other people have done. And like, do we really need to do this? I mean, maybe we should just go ahead and do them. I don't know.
All those videos are terrible, though, Ryan. David Pollack gave us another CZ100. The author, Brandon Sanderson, who finished The Wheel of Time, is now a heavyweight in the fantasy world, one of the greats of the genre and prolific, too. I just lost interest after like the second book. Maybe I need to revisit it.
And also, he's a consultant on that show, and I bet he is getting paid
Yeah.
to ruin it. Getting paid to ruin it.
Simple Gunner says $5. If you want a lunch that will fill you for a while, a Wendy's triple bacon burger is recommended. Triple bourbon bacon burger.
Well, yeah, what is that? 1,500 calories? Yeah, that should take care of you for a while.
Oh, you know what I was gonna try to get for this episode that I couldn't find? I was gonna try to get that. Was it Christmas? I thought it was Thanksgiving in a can, but I couldn't find it.
No, don't you remember? They only made 600
500
cans.
Yeah.
There's no way. No way you're going to get it. They sold
Disappointing
out.
though. I tried.
It was mail order only. They sold out like in 10 minutes.
Big Firmware again with £5 says, why isn't WireGuard more widely used within the corporate world? It will be. Give it time. J.W. Dickinson says, attention, banana. That is all. You may now return to your lives.
Also, we have WireGuard in between the Minecraft server, because the Minecraft server is not on Linode anymore, but we're running the traffic through Linode, through WireGuard, and I get emails every day, and Linode's like, you're hitting a quota. You're hitting a quota. There's a lot of traffic going through here. What's going on?
Check out the Minecraft server.
Luxor, let's make a union for Flippy robots. That's where the big money will be. They are making a lot of money with Flippy. I think pretty much all the what is it, White Castle? I think all the White Castles are going to get Flippies eventually.
What benefits are we going to negotiate for Flippy?
Fresh oil changes once a year?
He wants the more expensive coolant.
No one wants to work those jobs.
He gets a pizza party.
But he has to make the pizza.
Yeah.
And serve it.
Robots don't eat pizza. I don't understand how this is a celebration of my awesomeness.
Good job, Flippy. He takes his pinchers and just smashes up a piece to try to fit in.
Well, they never talked about how Data pooped. It's like Data's like, I can imbibe stuff, and it's like, what do you?
Does it just sit there forever, or do you have to like open your stomach later and just dump it out?
I imagine it wraps it in some kind of protein and just drops it as a capsule.
What a waste of resources. What an asshole. Taking a piece of pizza you won't even eat.
Well, he didn't eat most of the time. He only ate when he wanted people to like
Feel it at home with him.
to make it more comfortable for other people.
All right. Nonsense?
Yeah. Caught up? No. Not nonsense. We still have robots to go.
Oh,
wow.
robots. Well, that explains all the Flippy talk.
Yeah. And wait a minute.
Wait, didn't we just do robot?
You're right. This is
nonsense. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking. Because this is certainly not a robot story. This is a story about education. Now, we're slightly off in terms of generations. I believe my algebra training started in 6th grade. Is it the same for you?
Yeah.
It was around 5th, 6th grade, yeah.
You were a little bit earlier, huh? So would you say that was too early or too late?
I'm not particularly great at math. It probably could have been earlier, but I kind of got screwed because I moved across the country, and like my lesson plans got mixed up. But
What about calculus
I didn't take calculus at all.
in high school?
Nope.
So I think for us, it was 6th grade for algebra, and then calculus was optional, but well into high school.
Yeah, it was
toward
high
the end
school.
of it.
I had some friends who took it, but I didn't take it.
San Francisco will be revising those numbers considerably.
Controversy rages as California follows San Francisco's lead with a new approach to teaching math. And that new approach is not teaching it.
Or at least not until the 9th grade. That is a 3-year change in when algebra is introduced.
See, I think this is a mistake.
9th grade for algebra? Like
And-
just even basic algebra?
And calculus, not at all. Algebra 1 back to 9th and de-emphasizes calculus. And here's the kicker, the most important bit, social justice.
So the first time that math clicked for me is I got one of those like 17,001 electronic project boards from Radio Shack. And it's like up till then I was doing the math. That was probably like 6th or 7th grade. It wasn't later than 7th grade. I think it was like late 6th, early 7th, maybe that summer. And my uncle was teaching me how to like do stuff. And for some reason I needed to do something and I didn't have a resistor value on the board. And he's like, well, you can use 2 resistors in parallel. And the 2 resistors in parallel, the total resistance is less than either one of them. And there's a formula that you follow for doing that. It's an algebraic formula. And it's like, oh my God, this makes sense. I understand this.
There's a practical application for it.
Yeah, and then the same thing happened with calculus. It's like I could get through the calculus, like I could slog through the calculus, but until I had a physics class that was like applied calculus, it was like, Jesus Christ, they should have been teaching physics as applied calculus, not calculus by itself, because now everything makes sense. I understand why derivatives are useful. I understand integrals and so. Oh my God, why didn't they teach us this? Because up till then, it didn't make any sense.
But there is a minority who can do all of that without the practical application.
Yes.
Like they can just burn through it. And what this program does is basically just cuts their legs off. You are not allowed to read ahead of the class.
Yeah.
Because that would make other students feel bad.
I was always better at geometry because it had that like practical. There's a visual component to it, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense to me.
So
I figured
far-
that was going to be like the debate was going to be like, how do you teach it? But it's literally just literally getting rid of it, which is strange.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Although I guess grades will go up, right?
Yeah, probably.
Because it's so much easier. Maybe not even.
It depends on the student, I guess. Some people are better at humanity stuff, and some people are better at math. But
Well, Krista, here is a product for you. Now, my question about this is, if you had this, how many calls do you think you would get per day?
oh, constant.
I think she would never stop, right?
No, Rue finds ways to get your attention anyway, but like she would definitely be calling all the time.
But she would have to learn this. I don't know. I think this might be a fun experiment with Rue.
Can I give you a call bark? Dog phone lets pets ring their owners.
I want to play ball. Can I hand you the ball through the video phone? And it's like, no, dog. It doesn't work that way.
Well, the ball is the trigger.
Yeah.
So in order to initiate a call, the dog must pick up the ball and do something. And then when the call rings in, the dog must pick up the ball to answer the call.
I think Rue could probably figure that out. Rue's pretty, like I said, she's pretty good about getting your attention. She'll go to the door and scratch it, like when she needs to go out, or if her water bowl's empty, she'll go over to it and like smash it with her paw.
Yeah. Toast goes over and chews on the Cat 6 cable because he knows I will respond to that.
That's actually probably a little smarter than what
Yeah.
Rue's doing.
They've learned that the most intensely bad behavior is the one that gets attention.
Well, no, because some behaviors will cause me to retaliate, but some behaviors will just cause me to notice.
Yeah.
So now I'm in this hell of either punish them every time or don't punish them. What are you going to do?
There was a company that made stuff that you're supposed to paint on things that you don't want your cat to eat, like a bittergent or something.
Bitter. Yeah, you got a 50-gallon drum?
No, because you got to paint everything.
You can get that at PetSmart. When Rue was a puppy, we did that for a little bit on like furniture, so she wouldn't chew it.
I need to put that on 75 feet of Cat 6.
They're like raptors. They'll find the one section. They're testing it.
They'll attack the coupler.
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of countries, bad things happen. What do? They lash out. They blame the big tech companies. And sometimes maybe it's merited. I'm not so sure about this one. I think some other mistakes were made that caused this.
Lebanese central bank blames Google and Facebook as currency hit the all-time low. This might be a level 1 first, but Google and Facebook are not at fault for this one.
In fact, the only crime that they're committing here is offering apps that show the real black market rate versus the official rate, which there's a 30 times difference.
Now, if this were Russia, do you think that Russia could say, hey, we want to ban that app? And they would say, okay. Or China? I think they would say, okay.
Yeah, a larger country, they would.
I think things would look a lot different in Russia if their currency collapsed like that. I think they'd have other things to worry about. Online pranks. Now, remember we talked about the kid who was hitting on other people's girlfriends just to get beaten, to try to make a video out of it. And it's like, whose fault is that? Where do you draw the line? Well, in communist Russia, the line is a lot different. In this case, I don't know if I disagree.
Influencers sent to the gulag for 3 and 5 years for pranking a taxi driver. So this was a taxi driver, and they were pretending to carjack him. By carjacking him, they got a real-life carjacking punishment.
He had called the cops by the time they got back to be like, it's just a joke, bro. And he was like, yeah, well, I don't like that joke.
Yeah, I mean, how is the taxi driver supposed to know you're doing a prank?
In Soviet Russia, taxi driver pranks you by sending you to the gulag for 3 to 5 years.
So they also talk about these gulags. These are buildings in small towns, usually in very cold places. And they were originally built for 50 to 60 prisoners. They now all hold between 100 and 120, 1 sink and 1 toilet per dorm. Wow. You're sharing a toilet with 120 other pranksters. That sounds really bad.
Wow, it's nice to see that other countries are competing with U.S. for top worst prisons.
Oh, I think Russia has no. Well, no, I think China probably, right?
That's a good point.
I'm sure there's some smaller countries that have way worse prisons, but a Chinese prison where you might get your organs harvested.
There's a non-trivial percentage that you're going to lose an organ or 2 or more.
And the Uyghur camps, they have to do labor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chinese prison China number 1. Our glorious leader Joe Biden released the strategic reserves of gasoline, which caused the price of oil to go up until Friday when that other thing happened. Yeah, that was nothing to do with what he did. That was against South Africa. But that is not the only strategic reserve that was tapped in the past week.
Canada taps into strategic reserves to deal with the massive shortage of maple syrup.
Look at this amazing syrup bottle.
That is really cool.
And it's not symmetrical. It's handmade. Look at that.
Canada produces, what do the articles say? 91% of the world's maple syrup reserves.
And they released 50% of their total reserve to try to control these prices.
That's only going to work like once.
Syrup is pricey anyway, even before shortages. I'm going to start making my own. I got some maple trees.
Now, please give me your estimation on first the number of spiders and then the number of rats that were in the strategic maple syrup reserve.
I don't know about rats. So I think you usually tap trees in like February, March when it's warm during the day but freezing at night so that the sap flows.
No, but this is the reserve. It's just been in a tank.
It's just in a storehouse somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's probably a lot.
So what you're saying is I should stock up on that for the coming crazyflation.
Do you consume a lot of maple syrup?
No, just as to have in lieu of cash.
Oh, like the preppers who buy booze to have to trade. I don't know. I guess any kind of sugar would be a big item in the apocalypse.
Honey or maple syrup, either one would be great because you could use it in lieu of sugar in recipes and it'd be fine. Get a little extra flavor, but who cares? I've used maple syrup in what was it? It was like, it's not biscuits, but it was one of those dessert whatevers, and it turned out really good.
Yeah, it's a good sugar alternative. I use it for like my oatmeal, or I'll put it in like a smoothie.
Yeah, well, maybe you don't anymore.
Yeah,
not because
getting expensive.
It might not have been the good stuff. It might have been Mrs. Motherwell's.
You know, I bought real because somebody told me they're like, that's not real maple syrup.
Yeah, you got to buy the real stuff.
And I bought the real stuff, and I was like, I like the other stuff better.
I like the thickness of
Yeah, the
fake
one?
stuff.
Yeah.
But I like the taste of the regular maple syrup better.
Real maple syrup is watery.
Refrigerated real maple syrup has the same thickness as non-refrigerated, non-real maple syrup.
How many steps do I got to take just to get the syrup that I like?
They tell you to refrigerate as soon as you open it.
I don't follow those.
You should. For food
You
safety.
seem so insistent
For
on
food safety.
Maple syrup is not like honey, where nothing will grow in honey no matter what. Maple syrup can get some rank
Yeah.
stuff in it.
Yeah, it's better to put it in the fridge.
that. Yeah, I blame these Canadians. Well, the Groundhog Day, it's been a while since Groundhog Day, hasn't it? Why are we talking about Groundhog
This
Day?
guy's a monster.
It's because I think it's a girl.
Oh, girl's a monster.
We will be coming up on it again, but there is one town where the festivities will be considerably less this year because they had a very special, not a groundhog. He was something else, right? Some kind of, I don't know what he is. Oh, maybe he is a groundhog. Okay, he is a groundhog, but he's a special groundhog.
Mayor defends keeping the groundhog weather guesser Wharton Willie's death a secret. That's right, in Ontario, this groundhog, which we use to predict the weather in good old Canada, he died. He died even before last Groundhog Day, but they didn't say anything.
They kept it a secret. Why would you do that? Well, it's because they were going to quietly replace him. But Willie was an albino groundhog.
Couldn't find any more albino groundhogs.
You can't source albino groundhogs.
They tried.
During the chip shortage. You just can't do it.
Look, I'm just saying, if the government is willing to do this, imagine what else they're lying about.
The people demand the real Willie.
There is 2 shipping containers somewhere in some Canadian bay waiting to undock, filled with dead albino groundhogs.
We got the Canadians order.
How bad is it if you're someone in Vancouver? How bad is the supply line there? Because they've had a bunch of like landslides and stuff. They were cut off from the rest of Canada for a little bit.
How crazy would it be if future historians write something like, and then the unavailability of an albino groundhog led to the collapse of the Canadian government because the Illuminati was no longer able to maintain the appearance of...
It's the circuses part of bread and circuses.
After the nuclear war, we've had a hard time piecing the facts back together, but we have some idea that albino groundhogs cause global warming. Wendell, you had a leather jacket, which, while not fashionable, was one of your favorite.
It was.
jackets.
Did you ever find it?
No, it's gone
Aw.
forever.
And that's so incredible because you know you lost it in a certain geographical area, right?
Yep.
And yet it has still persisted and it's gone missing.
It's gone.
Have you ever thought that maybe the North Koreans were
The North Korea.
Obviously.
Kim Jong's got it.
'Cause-
Mine was a different style.
because they want leather? Well, listen, they're looking for any kind of leather.
Maybe. North Korea bans leather coats to stop citizens from copying leader's iconic look.
Steal his look.
So I had a leather jacket that had a hoodie built in. And that was great because if it was raining, I could just put the hoodie up.
That was kind of an iconic look for you. You wore that a lot.
I really liked
Like
that
if
jacket.
if I had to make a cartoon of you for a TV show, I would have had you in that jacket as like your uniform.
I'll find another one someday when I can go in stores again.
This is back when he was fat.
Okay, look at his hat too.
It's nice. So I guess this is a celebrity, a North Korean celebrity. Those exist, right?
That's a totally different style of jacket.
Well, you can't wear it.
Oh,
If you are wearing any kind of leather in public, there are literally fashion police who will come and confiscate it.
the fashionable. Oh no, anything but that.
That's so hilarious. They also had record numbers of pleather imports there for a while because people were making their own. They're resourceful people. You can't take that away from them. We did a story before on poopsender.com. Do you remember it?
Yes.
It is where you can send poop to your enemies or your friends. However, it is a weird little secret. It's not real poop.
It's
Oh.
fake
They
poop.
make fake poop. I don't know exactly how they do it. It's a trade secret. But even that is too much for the federal government.
The feds are pressing Pittsburgh-based poopsenders.com to find client harassing a postal employee. So they're sending them unsolicited mail through the mail, which I didn't think was a problem because I sure get a lot of unsolicited mail.
I am ready to sue all of the weekly store flyer people.
Yes.
I would like to sue them immediately. They've been leaving trash in my mailbox since I've been alive.
I can compost that newspaper, so I'm less mad about that. I hate all like the credit card offers and the we want to buy your house right now. And I was like, no, you don't.
Are there any First Amendment lawyers in the House? Because I feel like we could turn this into a First Amendment issue.
So Poop Center, I don't think they've responded yet. And
No, they've just ignored subpoenas, and that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, I think maybe Poop Center is a little bit over their head. Like they had a good idea, but they weren't really business savvy, and now they're just really worried.
Hence the need for a First Amendment lawyer. Oh, there's some YouTuber lawyers that are pretty good. There's Legal Eagle, and there's the other guy. We should get them on the case and get in contact with Poop Center and turn that into a series.
Yeah, let's just volunteer their time.
Yeah.
They would probably like it, though.
That's
because
the dream that they've been wanting as a client.
It's worth their time to waste it on YouTube already. So, I mean, it can't be that much worse.
Well, have you guys ever considered ghost marriages?
No, I'm happy with my regular one. But
Yeah, you might want to think about a ghost marriage, Krista, because there's a lot less commitment. You pretty much do what you want. Nobody's going to tell you what to do.
that's true.
There is the added difficulty, though, of having to steal someone's corpse.
Right.
That's the hard part.
Chinese internet celebrities' ashes stolen for ghost marriage.
So this is a dark story about this
Yeah.
young lady. She was live streaming and said, "Hey guys, do you think I should kill myself?" And of course, the horrible people that are watching on live stream said, "Yeah, you sure should." And she did. She
Wow.
drank pesticide live.
Oh.
Apparently, that was a popular thing because that then spawned people wanting to marry her ghost. In fact, someone did or tried to.
I was hoping like it was like, oh, she passed of natural causes and like someone was disrespectful to her and that was the end of the story, but it got darker from there.
Now, what would you pay for dead girl ashes to marry?
Literally zero. I'd pay negative.
The going price is going to be between $7 and $10 grand US. So
Wow.
not cheap.
Scary.
Literally scary because it's about ghosts.
We should have had that for a Halloween story.
Well, it didn't happen yet, Krista. What am I going to do here?
You should have known.
Am I a time traveler? We've seen a lot of instances where leaving bad reviews really screwed people up. Was it Thailand? Where that one
Yeah.
guy?
Yes.
Yeah, got like really, really his life got turned upside down because he left a bad review. You have to be very careful about it. And you have to be careful about when you leave that review because remember that while you're still involved in the transaction, things can go wrong.
Grandma was kicked out of hotel after leaving a bad review. So they were staying at a hotel that they booked on Hotels.com and didn't have some good experiences. The toilet was running and they had maybe a couple service issues. They left a 3 out of 5 star review.
It's not even that bad.
And said, no, there's some problems with this hotel. Hotels.com had emailed them and said, how is it going? Would you like to leave a review? And they're like, yeah, sure, we will. 3 out of 5 stars. In the middle of the night, the hotel owner sees the review, wakes them up, and kicks them out.
Which is legal.
Yes, very legal.
So don't do that. Or at least
Wait till your weekend's over.
Be
about it.
She contacted Hotels.com for a refund, and they said, sorry about your luck. And then, like, news, whatever, contacted Hotels.com, and they said, oh, we're so sorry. Here's your refund and some coupons for more hotel stays. So Hotels.com wasn't going to do anything about giving a refund until this story.
My Google did that whole real name thing. Remember that? And I resisted it. So my Google account doesn't have my real name attached to it. So when I leave Google reviews, they can't tell who I am. And the response is always the same. It's always the same boilerplate. It's always like, we're having trouble coordinating you in our system. Please contact me and provide you details so that I can help you. What they really mean is, we want to know who you are.
Yeah, with that tone.
Yeah, because my reviews are always bad. I don't leave reviews unless I'm leaving a bad one.
I've left some good ones.
Who have you reviewed positively?
The guy who checked out our heat system.
Oh, I take it
Last
back.
year.
I left a good review for a mechanic because he was a really good
I
mechanic.
left a good review for the home inspector guy too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he's exceptional.
That guy is amazing.
Well, we live in a world where semantics mean everything. You change the word of something. Let's say that you have a really unpopular social media company. Just change it to a different word. It magically fixes everything. And apparently we're now applying that into the criminal justice system as well.
Oh, no. Here goes the stream. Colorado State Board drops the quote-unquote sex offender term, calling it a negative label. This is for CBS Denver. It's like, yeah, it's a negative label.
Because it's a horrible thing.
Good Lord.
What did they change it to? Did it say?
Oh, it's so good. Let me try to find it because it's so long. And there's these great quotes in here. Oh, client. They talked about using client, but they're like, well, that's not quite bad enough. Yeah, you can't read that.
And it's also too vague. Yeah, I can't read that from back here.
What we have is adults who commit sexual offenses.
Why just sex criminal?
No, that's evil.
Although, at this, by the same token, the people that pee outside sometimes, like, that's not what that is, but they will be classified as that, which is offensive.
Which is why we should just refer to them as what they're charged with.
You're an outside peer.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm looking through job applications and it's like, whoa, sex offender, but then if I see outside peer, I'm like, oh, okay. I get that.
That's what arrest.org is for, so you can look up their charges.
Yeah, but who's going to, I mean, the AI that's hiring you is not going to go to that. They see sex offender, you are out.
That's true.
That is definitely going to be
Do you have to put that on your resume?
Well,
you are not allowed to lie about it.
They have that thing where it's like, if you have felonies, list them here.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess that would sweep you in.
Yeah. And Afghanistan, we get these amazing headlines over and over out of Afghanistan because the Taliban is trying to be legitimate, but they're clearly a terrorist organization. So you have this weird, you have these two forces moving against each other, and they can never truly be satisfied.
Afghanistan, Taliban unveil new rules banning women in TV dramas. So initially it was some weird rules that we covered, and now this is a new thing. This smells a lot like Iran. Remember what happened with Iran? Like, we had some really amazing pictures out of Iran, and then we didn't, and then this is not good.
Yeah, but
maybe they just prefer the Shakespeare version of things where, men play the women.
No, but in Iran, it was because of Western meddling that oh, wait. Iran, too. I'm trying to do better about that. Don't want to insult those poor people because of their government. Here's a great video.
She looks so upset.
She is so upset in the video. Spoiler alert, everything turned out fine.
Woman swallows Apple AirPod after mistaking it for a painkiller. I did not watch the video because she looked very upset.
That's like a horse pill. That would have been difficult.
Ibuprofen. She said it was an ibuprofen. She had the ibuprofen in one hand and the AirPod in the other hand. And you know how sometimes, YouTube specifically.
Left and right, yeah.
I don't know my left from right.
You get a little disoriented, a little bit of that left brain, right brain stuff. And then she just popped the AirPod in. Ended up looking for it a bunch before it made noises.
And she realized. What I don't understand, maybe it's different where she's from, but like most pain pills here are small. And an AirPod is small, but it's like a totally different size and shape and weight.
This wasn't an opiate. This was over the counter.
Yeah, but like even a Tylenol is going to be like small.
Some pretty big
I'm not saying this girl's the brightest bulb in the candelabra, but
how do you not notice as soon as you put it in your mouth? It's like, wait, this isn't the right shape.
They also had another guy who did the same thing, and she lost hers. But this other guy successfully pooped his out, and it still had a 40% charge.
Oh.
He's still using it.
Ugh. She said she didn't try.
Well, they are water resistant, right?
Stomach acid resistant?
Apparently. Yeah, just disinfect it thoroughly. I guess it's fine.
Yeah, well, it's to a certain depth, right? So there's nothing deep enough in your body to submerge it. Krista, did we do a Facebook one this week?
No, I didn't have any good stories.
We can engage with the chat. They're a chatty bunch.
It's all Christmas stuff right now. So like every time there's a holiday, Marketplace kind of gets just crowded with crap. So there's a lot of Christmas stuff on there right now.
Well, luckily we have two more stories, and this one is fantastic. Another great video that you need to watch. It really is all about the video here because this little guy, not only is he so amazing, but he's got special little shoes.
Wrinkle the Duck runs the New York Marathon, and he's got special marathon shoes, and you should watch the video. It's cute.
Now they say, the people who produced this video, they say, oh, well, we didn't go down to the marathon to try to enter the duck and try to make this PR thing. We got there and he just decided he wanted to run.
And he's run the whole thing.
And we did already have these special shoes on him.
Sponsored by Nike.
Kind of disproves. Oh, no, not sponsored by Nike. They developed them themselves and they're now trying to market them.
Of course.
Yeah.
This was totally accidental. Wink.
Wrinkle was used in a bit of a PR stunt, but oh boy, it was adorable.
Do you think he got any proceeds from that?
He might have got it like a grub.
Now remember
Ooh.
remember from the Duck Girl YouTube channel, ducks poop every 15 minutes.
He was just leaving crap all over that marathon.
Somebody was stepping in his poop running that marathon. And they were like, Jesus, I have to really deal with this duck right now.
I mean, that happens with some people that run a marathon too. I mean,
what if somebody came by and just kicked the duck square in the butt? That'd be a story, wouldn't it?
Who does that?
That would be one of those like vigilante doxing, the wrong person gets killed.
Yeah.
yeah.
But those people, as much as they mistreated that duck, I don't think they went outside the bounds of duck ownership. What they did may be distasteful, but certainly legal and not reprehensible. But
this was reprehensible on the other
Speaking
hand.
of distasteful.
yeah, this is the comparison.
Passenger claims woman breastfed cat on board flight. This is news.com.au, and they posted a screenshot of the flight attendant notes from the CRM system that Delta uses.
But nobody got a picture of the actual act, which makes me think, like, how in a smartphone world did nobody think to take a shot of that?
I mean, what?
Probably not even the weirdest thing you see as a flight attendant.
So their specials for like the sort team for their airports are called the red shirt or the red coats.
Oh.
Why would you call them that?
Are they the British?
They were the bad guys. But they dispatched them and they were waiting for her at the terminal.
She should just deny everything if it's not too late.
Is the rule really about breastfeeding, or is it more that the cat was supposed to be contained in some sort of container in the cabin?
Right. The cat, they asked her to put the cat back in the carrier, and she said, no, I'm breastfeeding it.
There's not even words for that. Like, what do you say?
Also, how do you continue to lactate during the lifetime of a cat?
How does a cat latch? The cat doesn't latch.
It's got no lips.
Yeah, it doesn't work. There's too many. That would hurt too.
Yeah, they also have fangs.
Well, no, even their tongues are rough. Like,
Oh.
yeah, think about how cats drink.
Maybe she's a
Ugh,
masochist.
I guess.
Is that the last nonsense
That's
story?
it.
Because
We're done.
we've got a lot of engagement. A lot of engagement with that last nonsense story. Good Lord.
Everybody loves a cat breastfeeding story.
That's what I always say.
When you go into, like any kind of schooling for entertainment or show business or whatever, that's the first thing they teach you.
Comedy
Oh my God.
comedy class. It's like, oh yeah, this is the well you always go to.
Manny D gave us Canadian $7 and says it could be a paid series at the beginning and then it can be released on YouTube. The point is your content is reliable. Anyway, thanks for all the videos. Paul Paco says there is Wendell, but what's the other guy's name?
Ryan.
I'm not telling you.
Sometimes people will say Brian in the comments, which always makes me laugh.
Some people do that throughout the life of every Ryan, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
People always append to be.
Has he ever done a podcast with Tom Merritt? Not that I know of.
I don't know who Tom Merritt is.
R. Anderwill says, how is the dolphin skin thing going? Also, hi, Wendell and Ryan.
Oh,
right, Kristen.
Anderwill was the one who sent me all the makeup. I've actually got some of the eyeliner pencils on you gave me today.
Oh.
Ooh, nice. There's actually like little tracking nanobots in there.
How much? How because we were talking about how the small portions in makeup. How much have you used of those makeup items?
I've been using the eye pencils a lot. Like if I have to go somewhere, like for Thanksgiving, I put makeup on because I was like, oh, that'd be nice to look nice for an event where I'm leaving the house. So I wore it then. I've used the blush a lot. I actually use the moisturizer quite a bit as well.
Will you be moved to replenish from that same brand?
I like the sticks a lot, the eyeliner sticks, because it's a lot easier to blend over powder eyeshadow.
He says again, the sap must flow.
Oh, it's true.
Whoop Whoop is like, here's my last $5. Whoop Whoop fun. Please tell me I might give more.
Well, we'll see.
We're almost. It's the thing. Vanessa gave us $2 and says Legal Eagle sucks. Viva Frey is the best.
Wow.
Hot takes.
Yikes. Legal Eagle didn't even know he was taking shots in this chat.
I guess we need to contact Viva Frey about poopsenders.com. Is that a thing?
Volunteer their time too.
Big Firmware is £5. It says power to Ryan Wu. And Keyboard Warrior says thanks for everything, guys. You keep me sane. Best of luck for everything from New Zealand.
Ooh.
Derek Anazalone says buy more crypto. Here's $142. Good
Wow.
Lord. Yeah, that's a lot of. Thank you, Derek.
But even during the dip, Ethereum didn't go down very much.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a dip.
Simping for Gordon. Maybe the woman was squeezing the milk out like they do with cake froth.
Like the cat was just like it was like a breast milk facial all over the cat.
having not breastfed, I can't say. I don't think you can just squeeze it. Like I think there's like you have to pump it.
Its face and its fur would be all wet when it goes back in the carrot. That would be disgusting.
Hylian Overlord explains that calluses could also be a thing that happened there if the feeding was going on long enough. Good Lord, this Chad is degenerate.
Even with human babies, women tend to have problems with like their nipples getting raw and stuff. So like a cat would be 10 times worse.
Hylian Overlord says, yeah, calluses. That's the thing. They'll form quickly.
Imagine, you go on a date with a young woman. It goes well.
It's like, what's going on here?
You're getting ready. You're fumbling with the latch, and she's like, well, before you do that, I just have to prepare you for something.
Well, let me explain something.
My question too is like, usually lactation doesn't start unless you've had a baby, and like the hormone levels are there. So like, how is she simulating the hormone levels to be able to breastfeed?
She's taking the cattle hormones just for the cat's benefit.
Or the more terrifying idea is that she has a human child, who's starving because she's feeding the cat.
LaSalle Rhymes III says, "Crazy show today, loving it." Yes, this is the entire week's news.
Yes.
In one day. This is normally what you get on Patreon, not the live part of it, but the everything.
The full, yeah. Well, usually we record on Friday, but it was holiday, so.
Yeah, so the news will be weird this week. There won't be any more news on Wednesday or Friday, but we got other videos, so it's fine. Does anybody have anything else they want to share? Otherwise, we're gonna call it quits, I think. Oh, Big Firmware says, okay, one last one. You guys are awesome. Watch you for years. One last question. What are your actual job titles? We don't have titles.
We can make some up if you want to.
Job titles are...
Wendell's got his phrase, which is actually... Of all the Wendell catchphrases, I disagree with all the Wendell catchphrases. I disapprove of all the Wendell catchphrases except computer janitor.
That one's great, yeah.
Because it's so true?
Yeah.
That's 100% accurate.
That's when I was, I'm shoveling data in Microsoft Dynamics. I'm literally just taking data from one part, putting it in another. I'm accomplishing almost nothing, and yet it's very skilled labor.
Nick War says, "Y'all streaming for the after party?" No, this is probably it for today. We've reached our limit of social interaction. We love you all. Thank you for tuning in live. So I think record numbers on live engagement. Edward Fernandez too says, "Thanks guys for being awesome." Well, thank you guys for being awesome and supporting us, because we couldn't do this without you.
That's very true.
Patreon and Float Lane and all this other kind of stuff. Oh, there's still a few KVMs in stock, so there's that. And also check out Devember, which is sponsored by Linode. There's a link on somewhere for the Linode thing. You go to the forum and search for Devember. You get $100 of Linode credit completely for free if you're not already a Linode customer to sign up and do stuff for
all the Devember stuff is pinned as soon as you get in. So you'll see the Devember thread and you'll see the Devember Minecraft thread. Yeah, so if you just want to play Minecraft, that's an option too. Yeah, check it out on the forum. There's a lot of fun stuff. And there's also links to the...
And we should say thank you again for these lovely polonium-covered silver eagles.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah,
that's really cool.
The KVM is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. It's decent. It's probably the best one on the market, but it's not perfect. And Eric was like, "Yes, I've been through hell. This fixes my hell. This was the tip." So that's pretty good.
We should every year we should haul those back out and be like, "Oh, look, this is what these are worth now."
Yeah, keep a few.
Yeah.
All right. So
actually, just throw them all in a safe somewhere.
Should we do it all together? Or does it have to be just me?
Oh, just you. Yeah. Everyone's been donating for you.
Just me?
Yeah.
Are we can do both. Why don't we do both?
Are we completely done?
I think we're completely done.
Yeah.
You're the one that controls when we stop and start.
Well, you might be able to get this away from me if you really tried. All right, here we go. I don't really know the proper inflection, but I believe